Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today, and welcome to episode 306 of the H.A.M Radio Podcast. I'm going to turn up my volume a sec.
Turn it up.
Yeah, you gentlemen can introduce yourself, by the way. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know if we did a false start. Let's go.
We're not even going to edit that.
What's up, everybody? This is Karak with ACG.
Yep.
Hello. I am Dustin with H.A.M Media. Welcome back. I was like, are we starting to stop it?
Yeah,
I didn't know what was going on.
I thought when I bent over, you guys were going to do it anyway, because I didn't say, I'm stopping. I didn't call for a stoppage of play. I apologize. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can tell, we're a little rusty. It's been a week. We took a week off just because the way our show timed out with its Sunday release and its Friday release for patrons, we just felt with it conflicting with E3 that we would just decide, let's do a post-E3 show talking about what we like, what we didn't like, the stinkers, the lovers of E3. And so that's this week's show. We're really excited about it, and it's good to be back, and we'll be back on a weekly basis now. Just E3 and holiday periods are typically a struggle to maneuver. So we thank you for being here. If you are new here, we've had some new listeners coming in from maybe Defining Duke or Sacred Symbols. This is H.A.M Radio Podcast, just laid-back show. It's pretty much different every week at this point. We either have a different number of guests or hosts, and it's just a very relaxed show where we talk about the latest in gaming. So if you like that, then by all means sign up. And there's a Patreon in the description for early access. But it's not just me here who's doing all the fun stuff. I have Dustin, I have Karak. Gentlemen, I always like to ask, what have you been up to? But especially this time around, Karak, you're probably sick of me. We've done like 3 shows this week. Dustin, I haven't talked to you in a while outside of DMs. So whoever would like to go first and just give us the update. What's been happening?
Oh, go for it, Karak.
Oh, I don't really have anything. I don't think there's anything new, is there? No, I think because we've already, most people are probably overlapping. So, and I'm not playing anything right now that I can talk about. I don't think I can talk about. Yeah. So right now it's just mum's the word.
Mum's the word. Okay.
Yep.
Well, let me think here. What's new with me since it's been a little while? Nothing incredible other than just, we put out a shit ton of podcasts and very long podcasts for E3. So everyone, if you're a part of the H.A.M Media Patreon, you've been eating very well. And just, I was streaming the E3 events, and that was really fun. So thanks to everybody for coming out to that. Appreciate it. And now, it's Friday, and I'm sure you're in the same boat as me that basically E3 started last Wednesday, Thursday-ish, and then it just kind of rolled through the weekend. And then once E3 was over, it was just normal schedule. So it's just this week has been more like a week and a half, almost 2 full weeks in a row. So I'm excited that it's done. Tomorrow I'm going to just hang out, play games. Speaking of, I still have had some time to play games. Oh. So do we want to talk about what we've been playing, or is this a separate?
Let me think. Do I have anything to say early in this episode?
Let's keep it casual for now.
Of course. That's what we do best. You told me last time we were on the show you were going to fuck me. So, it can only be...
I still will.
It can be only that casual, right? So
don't think I've forgotten.
No, I can't forget, right? That was incredible.
Wow.
For me, let's see here. I did reward myself today. I like you said, we've been rolling for a while. So after all the podcasts and everything that we've done on the channel, we doubled up on videos the day of Xbox's E3 showcase. I was thinking to myself, you know what? At the end of this week, we have this nice mac and cheese place near me. So I got this mac and cheese that's on a chicken sandwich that has crushed spicy hot Cheetos. It was delicious, man. It was the perfect engorging kind of food. You just take big bites, slam it down the gullet. Phenomenal. Was a real great treat after a long week. So to those who, I just want to say, in all seriousness, for those who just hung out for all the E3 coverage, the streams between Nintendo, Summer Games Fest, Xbox, and the amount of long form videos I made this week, especially I don't think I put anything below 15 minutes out in the last week. And to those who hung around for that long, just thank you for lending me your time, lending me your attention. But most importantly, like I said, your time. It is quite the luxury indeed. And I know I've been doing a lot of content. I've been everywhere. So for those who just lend me your ear, thank you. It is much appreciated. But let's get into what we're playing. Dustin, you have been playing, so let's start off with you. I've definitely been playing, just playing much less, but I'm excited to hear from you. What's been in the PlayStation? What's been on the PC? What's been in the Xbox? Maybe I don't know. What are you playing?
Two things mainly. First of all, Ratchet and Clank, of course, came out last week, so we haven't talked about that at all. And man, this game. Do you ever just play a game and you're like, man, it's a good ass video game in what feels like the classic definition of this is just a good old video game. It's not trying to be like, and don't get me wrong, I love the more conceptual weird games I love that stuff. But like Ratchet and Clank, there's something about it. It's almost nostalgic in a way that is just like play the game, collect some stuff, shoot some stuff. It's just a good lighthearted romp. And man, this game's good. This game's real good. It looks visually, of course, amazing. Playing on the ray traced performance mode, it's very good. And I don't know exactly how far I am in it, but I've played a decent amount. And I highly recommend this game. I know that there's some people that are, still up in arms about maybe not up in arms, but it's a $70 game. Of course, this is the new next gen thing, but I think that it's worth the investment. It's not all perfect. I don't know about you guys, but this may be one of the more buggy Insomniac releases.
Someone said it, man. I was talking to Jimmy about it. For those who don't know, Jimmy Champagne, and I was like, dude, probably the most tolerable bug guy on the face of the games industry is right here in this show. That's me. I play Bethesda games, Studios games religiously, man. Like I know a bug, and I can usually swallow them down, no problem. But with Ratchet, it was like every planet there was something stopping me. It was really consistent. So I thought I was the only one, man.
Yeah, no, and it's nothing that is that bad. Like this is not. Don't get me wrong. This isn't Cyberpunk.
No,
it's like
not, certainly.
One time there's like a level where you're like getting launched into different areas, and when I landed, I was in like an invisible box, like a mime almost. Like I just had to let my character die in order to get out of it. Yep. And then there's weird times when I've been walking around, and then like the environment or the geometry, just part of it will like pop in, like some rocks or something, and I was like, that is really odd. And of course, I've been lucky that I haven't had the game crash on me directly, but I've heard of, like, you mentioned Jimmy, who has it's been eating his save. Like, it'll crash, and then it eats his save. So there's definitely a little bit of jank in there. But overall, I wouldn't say that it's anything that it would stop me from getting this game. In fact, they just put out a patch yesterday, I think, and I've not played it since this patch has been out. So still very, very good. And then the other thing that I'll just say real quick is I'm back, baby, into Destiny 2.
Oh boy, I saw it on Discord. All right.
Yep. Yeah, lots of Destiny 2. I've been playing with all kind of Ben and Lockmort and Jimmy Champagne and our friend Justin. We've all been hopping in, and we're just trying to get ready, trying to do the raid, the Vault of Glass. That's like a Destiny. The original raid is back.
I was gonna say that was Destiny 1, right?
Yep. Yeah. So they brought it back, and they've like revised it and stuff. So it's kind of a long grind in order to get to be powerful enough to do it. But it's been fun. And really what I appreciated about the most, and Maddie, I know that you do this, is that basically I'll hang out with Holly a bit, and she usually goes to bed between 11 and midnight. And then as soon as she's in bed, I'm like, it's time for the boys right now. And then we hop on Discord, and we just, we'll chat, we'll talk about, life, whatever we want. It's like Destiny, the reason we gather is for Destiny, but in the end, it almost feels secondary in a way, because it's about just hanging out with people after a long, long day. It's like a cooler, not quite the cooler conversation, but it is just nice,
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's definitely me. It's funny you mentioned that, because I started gaming around 11 last night as well. I was like, fuck, man, like it feels like my day is just beginning, and I'm wrapping it up at the same time.
Right.
Yeah, on the topic of Ratchet, I beat that a couple nights ago. I got the Platinum Trophy, which was pretty easy. It's pretty easy platinum. You don't got to. Kind of disappointed with the platinum in a weird way because this is not a spoiler, but just when you beat the game, there's a new mode and there's new things you can do and new upgrades, and I'm just like, wow, they didn't put any trophies attached to the crazy new stuff here, which I admire because it's like, hey, just go play the game, it's fun. But I felt like they could have, for a game with 47 trophies, thrown a couple more in there. Just like you said, it was buggy for me. I just want to say, like, it crashed on me twice. One time it locked up so bad I had to reset my entire PS5, and I was pretty terrified. Like, the PS5, I don't say it's like the Xbox doesn't have issues, but the PS5, I'm still a little scared of. You ever get a new piece of technology and you're a little afraid of it? Like, I'm afraid to shut it off, leave it on rest mode. I'm like, something might break here or whatever. So it completely locked up, and fortunately came out on the other side okay and managed to finish the game. But between that, I had certain parts where I had to reload checkpoints. I don't know if you both had that. Karak, I know you reviewed the game, so maybe with your early files, you didn't have any of these issues?
No, not a reload. Not like that.
Yeah, I would get to just one planet where there was like a force field up, and you would defeat all the enemies, and the force field was supposed to come down, and you were supposed to go through a rift. They're like, go through the rift, Ratchet. I'm like, where's the rift? And then I realized the force field never came down. I had a couple instances like that. The first boss you face after the floats, that boss didn't have a health bar spawn. Like, it was every planet there was something, and it was good enough where I got through it, but it started to make it feel more and more like, I always tell people, when your bugs start to get in the way, you start to see more of the negative overall, because for me, one of my complaints was, hey, the story here, I've never played a Ratchet game for the story, so I'll be completely honest about that, but it is very much just there. I don't find it compelling. It has a Pixar charm to it in its animation quality and its, the way it brings these characters to life, but to me, it never really captured me. The way like a Pixar movie truly does. It just has the look and feel of one. Really just the look of it, I should say. And that typically isn't a gripe of the Ratchet game, but it started to become one because the game was kind of messing up on me. But its scope, scale, you can see the SSD at work. Really, I felt with some of the open areas and that was my favorite part of the game, was less of going through a rift and, new assets. I was like, you know what? I think what was more impressive here is how open this was compared to any other Ratchet game we've seen. Like, that was one thing that was missing with Ratchet on PS4. So I've been enjoying it. I liked it. I like it enough to say, like, hey, you can go buy it. But I wasn't in love with it. I don't know if it'll top my list at the end of the year. I really don't. I thought it was a good game, but a great game in a lot of ways. But I know with the Ratchet on PS4, and I might want to go back just to see why, but I played that game 3 times through, and like immediately. So I'm trying to figure out what clicked with that more in this one. I feel like maybe it's because with Ratchet, it's more of a tech display, and this isn't a bad thing, but I don't know if it was exactly what I expected, kind of for better or for worse.
Right.
It was just Ratchet and Clank, shoot, kill, upgrade weapons, switch them around, collect some trophies, get the collectibles, boom, you're done. I thought there'd be like more challenges and stuff kind of baked into the product outside of the arena mode. It didn't feel as expansive as I think I had hoped for. But beyond that, it's a good game. I liked it.
Nice. Maddie, real quick, something I did want to share. You mentioned about having to hard reset and being scared of your PS5. It's reminded me when I bought the game. So I'll try to make this as quick as possible, but there's a chain of events here. When I did my Balan stream, I ordered it Balan from Amazon. They sent me a European copy. I said, fine, whatever. It's region free. I installed it, and it would not update. I thought, that's weird. I blamed it on the fact that it was a European disc. But then I couldn't delete the update from my queue. I'm like, that's really weird. So anyway, whatever. I ignored it. I was like, I guess this Balan is just this Balan update is permanently on my download queue, even though it's errored out. When I got Ratchet, it wouldn't update either, and I couldn't delete the update from the queue. So I tried everything. I tried clearing the cache. I tried going to safe mode and doing all that shit, deleting the game, reinstalling it, whatever. It would not update. So I had to hard factory reset my PS5 in order to get Ratchet to update. Wow. I don't think it was a Ratchet problem. I think it was an OS bug that I hit with updates, but I don't know, dude. It was very annoying because now there's no games installed. So basically, if I want to hop back into something, I have to reinstall it, which is, I mean, the SSD is already so small that you have to delete stuff anyway, but it's like,
Right.
It's annoying. So just weird stuff, though.
I get that. I've had that with my PS5. Like it was, I heard people talking about the quail whining, I think it's called.
Yeah.
That was the thing that I was like, oh, thank God my PS5 doesn't have that. Now it does. Like you can hear something whirring in there that I don't know if it's specifically that, but it's like a, and then it kind of quiets down. So just a couple of nagging things with my PlayStation 5. Nothing quite breaking it, but my PS4 was alive for the whole generation. So I don't know if my 5 will have the same fate. I'm just feeling that.
Right.
I'm trying to think if there was anything else I played besides Ratchet. Oh, Guilty Gear Strive. You guys into fighters?
No, but I'm always intrigued by this one in particular, and it's because I'm a fucking weeb. But
Absolutely.
I'm so please enlighten me. I'm very curious.
Yeah, so I never was a big Guilty Gear guy, but I'm an Arc Systems fanboy. Like, I love the fighters they do. They just, on a visual and technical level, and by technical I mean the actual fighting, not the prowess of its FPS and so on and so forth. They're just the top, I think. They do such a wonderful job, and they accommodate weebs like myself and Dustin. So, for those who don't know, they made like Dragon Ball FighterZ, which is one of my favorite fighting games of all time. This is their next game, and the soundtrack I just need to shout out first and foremost. I know that's kind of weird for a fighting game, but it just needs its own call out, because even if you look at it and you go, this game does not look for me, just go listen to the soundtrack, because it's this hard rock. It's got this metal in it. I mean, there's so many different genres that they cover, and they just jam out in the background of these colorful clashes in these fights. So Guilty Gear, I did a little research. They typically struggle with this being too combo happy. And by that, I mean that they'd have these very complicated button inputs to perform combos. And even if you did do them, fights felt stressful because you would do maybe like an eighth of their health damaged on like an 8-hit combo. And it's like, well, that doesn't feel good. You just landed 8 hits in a row. You put out a complex sequence and you barely got rewarded for it. They handle damage in this game, I feel, a lot differently from like what they did with previous fighters, where they have counters, which they've always had. But when you hit a counter, even if you hit like a solo attack, because you're striking as they're striking and your timing is better than them, you'll do a lot more damage. And there are like you can do longer combos, but a 5-hit combo can get you a lot of damage. Like almost, if you hit the right type of combo, you could do like half their health if you hit a reset in the middle of it. And it feels great. These fights get very close because no one's quite out of it, because you can immediately battle back. Like I've been in so many fights online where someone had me to a quarter of my health and they had full health, and you're looking at it, normally in any of the fighter, you go, oh, well, I'm fucked. Like, that's it. I'm dead. I got to really have a perfect run here. But if you land like 2 combos on him, it's a whole different ball game. Now it's really close. You see them start getting a little more passive, and you can just swing the tide very quickly. And there are special moves, but there's not BS ones, I feel, that, oh, let me just spam this real quick. They're typically triggered through combos. So I really have been liking this game. Just for those who have never looked it up, see if you like the eye candy there. And I'm talking about like these 3D models that are animated. How do I define it? It's 2D, 3D. They look like your typical 2D fighter. They are anime characters, but they render it in 3D, and they have these cutscenes in battle that are just so stylish and appealing to someone like myself. I have been enjoying it quite a bit. Only complaint is the servers are very slow. They work fine. They worked fine day one even. But number one, the private lobbies don't work, which I don't know why a fighting game has, for the last 2 years, I've never played a fighting game that has just had private lobbies working day one. But also, when it comes to Strive, you'll hit the start button, and it'll say connecting or communicating server, and it'll just keep flashing that constantly. And it'll be a good minute or two before you get through the main menu.
Wow.
So it's a good game. Dustin, you should look into it if you're into fighters. and anyone else who's listening who's into fighters, definitely look into it. It's very rare we get a good new fighter, because if you look at the fucking Game Awards last year, the fighting games that were up for awards I think there was only like one new one. So just support your fighting games. But otherwise, I have not been playing anything else. And Karak, I know you said there's nothing you can really share, so shall we just move on to the best and worst of E3?
Yeah, just so you know, I slipped my back yesterday, so I'm going to be quiet for most of this. I'm going to talk when I can.
Sure.
I'm a little high, or feel a little high.
Hey, you're being honest.
I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want people thinking like I'm sleeping.
No.
But no, I can't. I don't think I can talk about the one we were talking about prior.
Okay.
These fucking meds they're making me sick. Make me feel like I want to vomit. And I talk about. Yeah, man.
I just want to make sure if you can't, that's fine.
Yeah.
Just if there was anything.
But I mean, and that's the only one I've been playing. No, because I've been playing the one.
Okay.
Not the one you were talking about, but the other one you and I have talked about in the past. I'm playing that.
Gotcha.
And yeah, there hasn't been. I've been looking into actually on the side. Fuck, man, that's gonna make me puke. I need to take this shit on the side. Have you ever taken pain pills?
Yeah.
Have you ever taken pain pills and then not had a food in your stomach?
Yep.
I've been looking into mods for games, like been really interested. Sekiro has what's called a random mod where they take every enemy. Well, Sekiro's is nuts. So is Hitman. They take every single enemy and all item drops, and you can choose either to be completely random. So enemies from other levels can be in level 1. Mini bosses, you can choose all this crazy stuff. And I've been messing around mostly with that this week. Like I was doing Hitman, which also does it, a randomizer, I guess. And then Sekiro is messing around with a little bit. And that's actually been what I'm playing other than, a couple of the NDA games, and been enjoying that. Mods are it's crazy how far they can extend a title.
Yeah. Yeah. The random,
like a title you didn't think you'd play again.
Yeah, I was going to say randomizers are such a popular thing nowadays. I feel.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, I've seen Fallout have like randomizers for its mods.
What is
like you'll meet a character with in New Vegas, we'll say you'll meet like let's see here, Sunny Smiles or whatever, but it'll have like a different character model. It'll have like the body of someone and the head of someone else and the dialogue of someone else, and it just slaps it together. And it's like, yeah, if I remember correctly, I think KevDoIt has a pretty good playthrough of it on his channel. But there are randomizers that are just so off the walls and wild for Fallout that it makes me want to try it. So that'd be a good stream idea.
Yeah, that's cool.
But
that would be.
Let's get into the meat of this show. So as I said at the top, we have E3 conversations to be had. So we're talking the best and the worst, top 3 from each of us of games we saw that we really liked, that we're excited for, and games that we saw that could have shown better, could have been better, maybe shouldn't have existed at all. Whoever would like to go first, we're going to start off with the best, top 3 best. We'll go 3, 2, 1, saving the best for last. Shall I start, perhaps?
I don't have any bad ones at all. Because I didn't watch anything other than the Xbox one. Most of them were either boring or good. But I will say that. Well, see, when you said games, we didn't ask if it was just our excitement or if it was like, could it be CGI? Which, by the way, I wouldn't have voted a CGI one as being the best anyway. But I don't know if that's going to be okay because, for me, like Plague Tale: Innocence would probably be the number 1.
Oh, no, I mean, you can pick whatever is interest level. It doesn't have to be pure.
All right.
I use the word excited, but I'm saying it could be.
So it could be Redfall if somebody
it's an umbrella term, right? It could be, I'm interested in this. I'm curious about this, whatever you'd like. Sorry.
Yeah, so definitely. All right. Well, it came right at the end. It's no big deal. I assume that's what you meant. But yeah, Plague Tale. I want to see the sequel. That was probably the number 1, like, because I didn't know that existed. Yeah, like there wasn't even a rumor that existed, at least that I got. So and it's nice to be surprised.
After Flight Sim, I was like, there's no way they're gonna do another one.
Return back.
Yeah, I thought not that it was done, but I was like, maybe it didn't just do as well as it needed to. And
Yeah.
See them be doing it and day one Game Pass, that was a really pleasant surprise.
See, like, the all the rats, the plague of rats at the starting come over the start, and while I was watching it, I think I've already told you, I feel like I'm repeating myself, so if I am, I apologize to anybody. But when I saw the rats and the big, right at the starting sort of come into the street, and it just, my brain was like, this can't possibly be Plague Tale. It just didn't pop into my head that there would be a sequel. And it took a while for me to actually figure out that that's what it was, because my brain kept telling me it couldn't possibly be that. So that was, just as a Plague Tale fan, and knowing not how big they are now, but knowing that they might have more money now.
Oh, yeah. Well, especially with day one Game Pass, you gotta imagine they got some cash lying around.
They did a lot with what they had. They had little open world moments in that where you were like, you're trying to figure out, like, is this going to, like, you never really knew if that game was ending or actually you had been playing 6 hours of prologue. It was really weird, especially when you got to the castle. I remember getting to the castle going like, oh my God, is this the start? To the middle? Where am I?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really excited to see number 2. I just think they know how to make Ratchet and Clank short, and it's good. Alan Wake, those type of 8 to 12 hours, those are exactly what I like, and I feel that Plague Tale, Vampire's longer, but I feel like those are perfect, and this one just excites me a ton. Are we going 3, 2, 1 with the same person, or are we all?
We could all do
3,
2, 1, kind of round
what I was
robin.
hoping for.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do it that way.
Yeah. So that would be number 3, not number 1. That would be my third most hyped.
Real quick about that, Karak, I saw the next gen update coming for Plague Tale Innocence, which there's a rumor going around right now that Plague Tale Innocence will be the next PlayStation Plus game, which would be very cool. Good. Either way, I started this game on PC, and I was playing it with Holly, and I think she thought that it was a little too intense for her. Like, she was getting too stressed out.
Yeah.
So I'm going to restart it when this next gen version comes out, because I really liked what I played, and then it was just I got derailed. So moral of the story is, don't play games with your significant other. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I've heard the same thing with shows.
That is the problem with playing with friends too. With shows or friends, if a friend leaves and you're stuck there going, do I wait for this person to come back to watch this or whatever? It's always hard. I think I played the next gen version because I think I played the PC version when that came out.
Right.
That's the one thing I was wondering is what they were doing, like what they were adding, but hopefully it comes on PlayStation. I would love to see as many people as humanly possible play that game. Like that. That's why I liked Vampire on the Switch, even though it wasn't perfect. And Plague Tale's on the Switch now, too. That's coming to they're doing a streaming version of it, they said. So, that cloud thing's a big thing for them, man. It seems like Nintendo's starting to really embrace. There was like 3 or 4 games I saw here recently where they were doing cloud versions, which, hey, if it works, it works.
Yeah, they did. Now you mentioned it. Yeah, I think it was Requiem's getting the cloud, and Resident Evil is.
Oh, wait a minute. It might be. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, Requiem's the one that I don't know if Innocence is being brought or not. It should be.
I think you're right.
That'd be amazing if it was. I don't know. I don't see why it wouldn't be. It seems like it's on a technical level possible. Dustin, what was your number 3 for good games?
Couple options here, but I gotta go.
Be right back.
I gotta go with.
I'll just be right back.
No problem.
Nostalgia on this one, and that is, I am hyped for WarioWare Get It Together.
Wow, that is not what I was anticipating. Okay,
there you go. Because, dude, I remember I played the original WarioWare on Game Boy Advance when I was a kid. And what I loved so much about it was that it just had this crazy, like, off-the-wall humor.
What game?
Like
I'm sorry.
WarioWare.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there's like a mini game where you gotta there's like a nose and a finger, and the finger has to go up the nose. Like, that's one of the mini micro games. I always just loved how silly and weird it was, and I followed this series. Whether I played there was one on Game Boy where you had to turn the game. It was called Twisted. There's one on DS, WarioWare Touched. I did not play the Wii one, I don't think, but Either way, and then WarioWare Gold came out a few years ago on 3DS, and it was like a collection. But I've always loved this series just because it's cute, it's fun. It's kind of what I was saying earlier when it's sometimes you just want to play a game that's fun, that makes you laugh or whatever.
Right.
And so this series has been dormant for quite a while. And so I was just excited to see Nintendo be like, yeah, let's bring it back. Let's do it. There's a new mechanic. The whole shtick of this one is that you play as like a little character within the mini games. That's kind of the focus, and I think that's cool. I'm curious to see how it pans out. I've always also one other thing is that they always have like a weird reverence to older Nintendo games. You can see this in the trailer that had like Super Mario Land in it at one point, and dude, I just love that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I didn't even they had like a whole treehouse thing where they showed off the game, and I was like, no, I don't need that, because so much about this game is like the moment that you see, like I said, the nose on screen, and the point is to put the finger in the nose. That's hilarious. Yeah. I don't want that spoiled for me.
Did you see the armpit one or whatever where you had to like use tweezers on the armpit there? Yeah, like that was in the trailer. I was like, okay. My girlfriend texted me in the middle of my stream because she was watching, and I went like, I don't really get it. This kind of looks weird. And then she texted me, she's like, you're fucking playing that shit. Like, you realize that, right? And I was like, okay. All right. So I guess I'm wrapped into this one too. I don't know what to expect, but it looks, are they like supposed to be quick micro games almost, like 5 seconds?
In previous WarioWare games, it's you'll play through like, I don't know, I want to say 20 micro mini games in a level. And you have like 4 lives. And so the idea is that it's just like, do this. And then you have like a micro game that lasts, 10 seconds or something. And so the fun is like the instantaneous reaction of like the first time you played is figuring out what you're supposed to do. And then like, the off the cuff, like, oh, do this, do this, do this.
Right.
And that usually is like a set of levels. You never know what's coming next. And so, yeah, it is dumb stuff where it's like squeeze out the toothpaste. That's the one they showed with Wario, is like squeezing out the toothpaste. And so it's an interesting take on the mini game collection in that, I think that like some of the other games, there'd be like 100 of these micro games, or more than 100 of these micro games. And it's so fun. I have to, I don't know, I'm 27 now. I'm not old, okay? I'm not saying that, but I am finding myself leaning into some of these things that make me nostalgic of being a kid, and WarioWare is one of them.
Yeah, I think the quarter life crisis is absolutely a thing, right? It's got to be. It's got to be.
I don't know if it's a crisis. I mean, maybe.
Quarter
I don't
life, know. What is the word? Existentialism. You realize we are mortal here at 25, 27.
Eric's like, I'm about to kill you fuckers.
Yeah,
right now.
I feel younger than you. My back's bad, and I still feel younger than both of you fuckers. But the thing about 27 is not only biochemically do you make huge changes, but I think it's also because you've been out of school for approximately half the time you were in school. And there's my wife was telling me about psychology of looking back, and you only usually remember the last 6 years anyway. And so what happens is you start to go, oh shit, I've been out of school. Because I know for me, I didn't care about any of that until I was out of school longer than I was in school. That's the brain fuck. So when you're out of school for 12 years and you go, oh my God, I've been out of school as long as I ever went to school, that's when you see people like buying Corvettes and shit and trying to figure out their stuff. Which
that
fits,
actually makes
by
sense.
the way, age-wise. That's legitimately like right when that age, especially for guys.
It makes sense because I mean, no shame here. Dustin Furman is a college dropout. So I was not in school as long as my peers, which, by the way, I didn't drop out because I failed or anything. I dropped out because I got a decent job video editing. And I was like, well, what's the point?
Yep.
I was just going to community.
As I think more and more people are figuring out, it's about your skill set.
Go back to college too. You can go to college on the side.
Go back
there's
if
thousands.
I need to.
Yeah. There's thousands upon thousands of ways to do it now. It's not the way it used to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, WarioWare.
Hell yeah.
But I think we've covered it. So
cool.
Who's up next? Was it Maddie?
That would be me. That would be me.
Okay, go for it.
So I was going back and forth on some games. It was really a close tie for last year. But I'm going to give number 3 to Metroid Dread. This one surprised me. This one very much caught me off guard. I will say up front right now, not the biggest Metroid fan. I played Prime when I was younger, just the first Prime. I played Samus Returns on my 3DS. I liked it, but I have a kind of I'm in the middle on Metroidvania titles in general. Just if they're done well, like what I've heard with Shovel Knight, but for me, I've experienced it with Ori and The Messenger. Like those types of games click really well with me if they're done right, but if they're not, they can be the bane of my existence. So I'm very hesitantly excited about Dread, which looks like a darker, more horror kind of approach, if you will, to this series. You know, Metroid's always had a bit of grit to it. It's one of the least popular Nintendo series, but I'm excited to see. One of my favorite things about Nintendo's little showcase here with the Direct was they brought back so much old stuff. You mentioned WarioWare. They brought back Advance Wars. They brought back Metroid. I thought it was a good show for people who have been like asking for the return of so many series. For me with Metroid, I saw this and went, you know what? This is kind of what I was wanting with Samus Returns. Samus Returns felt a little slow at times. Like, for example, they had the ability to do that deflection that you can do in Dread here. You see it in the trailer where Samus will do almost like a backflip after deflecting and roll and shoot from one knee. There seems to be a sense of mobility here that I really appreciate. I have no knowledge of the Metroid story, so I don't know if I'm going to need that to go into here, but what I saw, I really liked, and to see, hey, it's coming in 4 months. That was, oh yeah, like I'm all about that now. So Metroid Dread takes the number 3 spot for me.
Okay. Now, Maddie, I have quick thoughts about this. I'm excited about this because I do like classic 2D Metroid. I love Super Metroid in particular. Very good. I'm excited about this game, mainly because I'm excited to see Nintendo give some love to Metroid.
Right.
And I do agree, it has a little bit of a darker tone, but I have to agree. I just watched, do you guys know Kyle Bossman? He used to be at Easy Allies, and now he's doing his own thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, name sounds familiar.
He had a video, and one of the things he said about Metroid Dread, which I really agreed with, is that while it's exciting and it looks like when you see the gameplay, it's like, cool, exciting. If you like 2D Metroid, this is great. This game is a little unspectacular in a way. Like, I think that robot dog or whatever that they're really highlighting is like the most boring robot dog ever. He's not a dog, but he's like, it's a robot that has, is on 4 legs, we'll say.
Right.
Like the amiibo for I'm just like, what? This is like the most generic looking robot that you could possibly try to put in this game. I guess I'm excited, and I'm sure it'll be, or not sure, but I'm hoping it'll be a very great game. I just wish that like feels a little safe. I want a Metroid that like, dude, if they made another sprite-based Metroid game, imagine if they gave Metroid like kind of an Octopath Traveler type polish. It's 2D sprites. Maybe they've got some cool lighting effects that give it like a 3D space vibe. Man, I guess there's just a part of me. This is someone's listening to this and like, Dustin, you little bitch, just accept the fact you got a Metroid game, which I am. I'm excited that we have a Metroid, but I'm like, Nintendo, you could do Metroid's so cool. The new suit that Samus has is so awesome looking, but it's a little vanilla in the same way. What do you think about? Do you think I'm off base here, Maddie?
I don't think you're wrong. I think, like, especially from a visual standpoint, some people are like, oh, it looks like a DS game. No, it doesn't. It doesn't look like a DS game, but to me, it definitely doesn't look like there was a lot of money put into it. And when you see, like, oh,
it's budget.
Yeah, exactly. When you see it was in development for, I think it was 15 years, like they were figuring out what to do with this thing on and off for 15 years, and they kind of picked it back up. I'm not expecting the most, but not everyone's going to know that when they take the game off the shelf. I will say Metroid is one of the few, if not the only Nintendo franchise that can really benefit from not being super colorful and popping visually. And I feel like this is the smartest thing to do when you have Prime 4 on the way, which I anticipate will be the one that is the heavy hitter, the oh my god, look at it kind of moment for Metroid. I think on a 2D level, let the color do a lot of the talking. So yeah, it's definitely unspectacular in a lot of ways. But for me, what stuck out was, as I said, the way the gameplay was. I like that you're not just killing everything. Like, you got to run from some stuff. And there's that, the music was very much horror inspired. And then you combine that with Samus's, I just, that animation will always stick out to me of blocking an attack, rolling and shooting. There was a skill there. And I didn't really, it was in Samus Returns, but I don't know to what extent, where I thought, hey, this looks better to me as a video game. And that was probably the more appealing factor than anything. So it definitely was unspectacular. I don't have a long history with the series, but I personally, despite my agreement, really like what I saw. And part of it was the surprise. It was like, oh my God, they're actually doing a new Metroid game. That's, I've been wanting to get into this series. Like, yeah, give me a new one. Let's see what it's all about.
Yeah. I'm excited. By the way, I'm not trying to, for the audience, I'm not trying to poo-poo it. I actually had it on my list. I had it on my list of most anticipated. Like, I think I had it like number 4. It was between that and WarioWare, and I decided to give some love to WarioWare, so.
Yeah. I think WarioWare is a great pick too, because it's just like, for a lot of people were really excited about that, especially in my chat. Like, I saw people going, "Oh my God, what? It's coming back!" So, I think it makes a lot of sense. All right, let's move on to number 2. We'll keep going around. Karak, do you have a number 2 ready for stuff you're very excited for or interested in?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't get to see a lot of the Nintendo stuff. It's like the first time in like 15 years I've slept in. So I slept in, I woke up. I think I told you this, Matty.
Oh, yeah.
I think I told you this.
Yep.
Did I? Okay.
Indeed you did. Yep.
I thought I was in a fever dream because I was seeing the announcements, and I was like, well, that can't be possible. Like, Nintendo announces nothing ever. There's no chance that any of these are real, which they were all real, which was really cool for Nintendo fans. But I can't really speak to those because I didn't get to see it, and I haven't really watched many of the trailers because most are far off. So I was actually gonna, of all things, go with Far Cry 6. I'm not going to, but I wanted people to understand that, like, the more I watched Giancarlo, I think is his name, the actor,
yep,
talk about it and all that stuff, I was really excited. But I would say the reason why I don't want to go with it is because it's probably gonna be Far Cry. I don't want a video of me saying it's gonna be good out there on the internet. He's gonna hold on to that shit and prove it against me. Probably Forza, just because the tech was amazing, and I think it was a pretty good example, pretty good showing for non-ray trace lighting. Ray tracing is in all the Forza Vista,
right?
But it's not in the main game. And I hear people talking about ray tracing all the time. Ray tracing's great, but it's not the end-all be-all. It's not like it's going to magically make your shitty game good or whatever. And so to see a game look that good without ray tracing was pretty cool. It looks like they got rid of seasons, which is another plus, even though I liked seasons. I didn't like the way they were done. I didn't like the way, like, the weird loading, how often, I think it was weekly or bi-weekly. I just didn't like the way any of that had been done in the last one, or nearly as much as I was hoping. Here, it looks like it's altitude driven, as in the higher up you are, the snow, rain. Just like all that kind of stuff looks awesome to me. And as a racing fan, especially like a let's all get together and just do something really stupid in the Discord racing fan, it's really difficult to sell people on a racing game. It's almost impossible to sell people on a racing game. If people think fighters are crazy, fighters are usually on a 2D plane, man. Like, that's usually like 10 times easier than trying to say, hey, man, let's all jump into a racing game. And the person can't figure out where to go, or, what gear shift system they want, or what car they want, and there's hundreds of cars and all that. So I would say just Forza for the open-endedness of it, and looking at what it looked like, how it seemed to handle some of the changes that I wasn't a big fan of, and it sort of went away from them, which was nice. So that was very cool to come out of, or to see. And also, again, another surprise. Not expecting. I wasn't even expecting I was expecting the announcement, but I certainly wasn't expecting it to be this year.
Forza? Interesting.
Yeah. Well, that nobody had announced it, and nobody had leaked it, and everybody this year has been nothing but the fake leaks, people trying, fucking watch my podcast. So it was nice to actually be surprised by something that somebody hadn't like tried to pimp out as their own data. And I wasn't aware of the date. I didn't know what the date would be, but yeah, that was really cool for me because as a big racing fan, like
right.
no other there really isn't really racing games that are celebrated anymore. I mean, maybe Need for Speed, but Need for Speed is
not even
so many titles. Yeah, there's so many titles in Need for Speed. I don't even know which the last one was. I know there was some bearded fool who was the bad guy in one of them, which I thought was a terrible game. I think that was Need for Speed. Yeah. And then there was like the remake of the other Need for Speed I did like, which was the one with Paradise City, which was like the only good song it had. Its title. What was it? I think that was called Paradise City, actually.
I don't
wasn't
know.
it?
It's funny you mention it.
Dude, there's so many.
Burnout Paradise?
Was it Burnout Paradise? And
Yeah.
then Burnout Paradise was remastered, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's so many of those that I just don't think racing is celebrated as much as I would like to see. So Forza was a cool celebration of that. What were you going to say though, Matty?
I was going to say I agree with you on Need for Speed being a franchise that I haven't even. I feel like I sometimes think when I say I'm not tracking something, I'm almost still subtly tracking it. It's just compared to stuff I do look at, it's not on the deep of a level.
Yeah.
But with Need for Speed, I'm with you where I say I don't know what the last one was. I remember playing one in, I think 2014 because I wanted to use my PS4 and it just did not grab me. I think what's happening with racing games, you got to imagine it's just for a lot of people, and I'm guilty of this, is you don't need the realistic driving that something like a Forza, even in Horizon, touts to some extent. Maybe not as heavily as a motorsport, but some people are more than happy with a GTA, which does, I put in quotes, racing, right? Maybe not even close to the level that a Forza game can do, but it does racing and it does X, Y, and Z. And I wonder if that's why racing games struggle to be celebrated, because they're only, once again, in quotes, I want to emphasize, because a lot of my audience thinks I hate Forza now, but they only do one thing. And people are more bedazzled, if you will, by being able to do this, and that. But I think Horizon 5 does look, visually at least, solid. Looks really good. And I'm more excited than anything about the event lab. Was that, as someone who's played a lot of Forza, that's new to this entry, right? Or has that been there? I could have sworn that's.
Yeah, it's basically trials for Ubisoft trials, those games. It's like it's like that. Yeah. I personally, apparently everybody loves the idea. To me, I saw it and I was like, this is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen. And then I was talking to people on my Discord and they're like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. So it's one of those times where you're like, all right, apparently driving my cars through bowling pins is not for me. I have no clue, but it's for everybody else, because everybody I talked to was like, dude, you can do barrel. I like trials too. I do like trials. Right. I just don't know, whatever I saw there, probably because it's one more adjustment to Forza. So you already have Forza, and then you have Forza Horizon, and now you have Forza Bowling, or whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Forza Bowling.
So I probably that's probably why I stepped. I saw it and was just like, it's probably not for me. But it seems like everybody that I've talked to, that was like a big deal to them.
Matty, I want to hit the podcast with a hot take that I want to run by Karak and see if I'm
According
off
to my
base.
Clock, we're deep enough. I think you're safe to make a hot take.
Hot take o'clock.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Karak, you mentioned about people complaining about the lack of ray tracing in Forza, right? I think I saw this on Twitter also. People need to shut the fuck up about that, about the lack of ray tracing in games in certain scenarios. Here's why. Correct me if I'm wrong. Ray tracing is great. I love ray tracing. I just watched a video about the Metro Exodus ray tracing update that they did for next gen. Looks amazing. But ray tracing is just another tool that developers can use to paint the picture that you see on screen. But the thing is with a tool like that is it takes resources. And so in this scenario, the developers, Playground Games, decided we don't want to use that tool, and we're going to use the resources to use our other tools. And to me, if what is on the screen looks fucking amazing, which is what the new Forza Horizon game looks incredible, I don't care if it doesn't have ray tracing. Mm-hmm. The reflections on the cars look amazing without ray tracing. Like, it doesn't To me, in this scenario, with this game and the way that their engine works, it's fine. So this idea of like ray tracing equals better graphics equals better game does not make sense to me.
Yeah,
is that accurate?
I think it is. And I think a lot of it just boils down to a failure for people understanding that it's sometimes just about the end product. You know, it's like when you hear... Right. I was having a conversation off to the side, and we were talking about like BioWare and some of like Jason Schreier's reportings about Dragon Age 4. And for those who don't know, it's a game that was a live service originally and went back to single player, but it apparently had been moved to single player for much longer than what we had known. And when you look at something like that, it's like the knowledge is now people are going to look at it almost subconsciously through a lens of, hey, where's the live service element here? Like, where's the Avengers type of game here where you feel there was live service and single player in it? And I feel it colors the perception of the game off the bat. And the same thing here where some people will just have that, you know, that scratching in the back of their head of it's not ray tracing. Those reflections are great, but it's not ray tracing when, much like you said about the quality of the screen, it's just what you see. Do you like it? I think it's for a lot of people that doesn't matter. It doesn't have the thing. It's not the check on the list. So a lot of people are losing the picture of how to critique games because ray tracing is a thing. And you almost can blame the people who are marketing the console because this was a big thing. It was just another thing being said constantly. It was a sizzle word. It went from mechanic, not even mechanic, but tool to sizzle word kind of world as well. But I think that's it. So I don't think you're off base at all with your fuck this statement.
Right. To me, it's just like, and I feel like I hopefully made it clear. I think ray tracing is amazing. I love when ray tracing is implemented into a game, whether it be reflections or indirect lighting or whatever. You know, there's multiple ways. I think people hear ray tracing, they think just reflections when really there's a lot more that developers can do. But it's, it's just like, it's a tool. Again, like I said, it's a tool that a developer can choose to use or not. And just because they don't choose to use it, like you don't look at an amazing watercolor painting and be like, why didn't they use acrylics or oil paints? It's like, that's, I don't know. Maybe that's not a good analogy, but that's kind of how I see it.
You're probably putting it a lot more eloquently than me. I'm not to interrupt Karak, but just for me, I've always been that guy. Like, I just don't fucking care. Like, I don't know how else to say it. Like, there's no arty way for me to put it, like of, oh, well, it's this, that. It's like, I don't care about ray tracing. I don't care. If the game looks good, it looks good, right? And that's across all art styles. For me, that's the more appealing part is when I saw Eden Chronicle on the Xbox showcase, this 3D kind of open area built-in Unreal Engine with 16-bit characters running around. I'm like, this is fucking one of the best looking games I've seen. But it's because of the art and the combination of like real and something nostalgia and modernized graphics. I mean, everyone's perception of what looks good is clearly different. And you know, it's just I just can't find myself to care when they say it doesn't look like, oh, it's got ray tracing, just to kind of, I guess, elongate what you were saying is like, yeah, it looks good though. Who cares if it's not ray tracing?
Right.
Sorry, Karak. Yeah. I had interrupted you though. And now he doesn't remember whatever the fuck he was.
I have no clue what I was going to say.
It's all right.
But yeah, I
interrupt you.
I agree.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't want to derail with a ray tracing conversation, but I did see that was making the rounds on Twitter, and I was like, really? This is what we're hung up on? And here's the thing. To be 100% honest, Forza games, whether it's Horizon, I've played them. I can tell they're very well-made games. I'm not interested. They're just not the type of game I want to play. I think they look. I will install this game to see how good it looks and to mess around. It's not my type of game. So to see that people were like, new ray tracing, it's like, come on.
Yeah, who cares? I'm right there.
Then they should probably not play Ratchet and Clank because the best version of Ratchet and Clank is probably not the ray tracing version when it comes to frame rate.
Yeah.
Right.
I played it on the performance ray tracing because it was good enough. But it is more solid on the non-ray tracing version. And they did a very good job faking reflections.
I was going to say, I switched back and
forth
between those
two. I would also challenge most people. I would say that most people I could fool in seconds and make them think it was ray tracing. I would say about 95% of people who are saying that they know what ray tracing looks like in a game are lying. And I don't mean they're mistaken. I mean they're flat out lying. that there is a very good way you could fool them into thinking some of this ray tracing. Somebody like John from Digital Foundry, myself, and sometimes I've been fooled. It's easy to be fooled by really good global illumination.
I was going to say that because when I was checking out Ratchet, it almost feels embarrassing to say because it's our job and stuff, but there came a point when I was flipping back and forth and playing like good 10-minute stretches where I can feel a frame rate difference, but when I did performance ray tracing and just performance mode and I was looking at it visually, it really was a level of, well, what am I missing here? Like what? And
well, between those two, you're missing 30 frames per second. Did you mean fidelity? Or
I'm talking out of
fidelity is 30.
When I say fidelity, I mean like the performance ray tracing is that's designed. It's obviously going to have ray tracing. And what I'm saying is when I'm looking at that, when I'm looking at the screen, I'm not seeing something so what I think has been interpreted as drastically different and game changing. Where I was like, I would rather play on performance where it feels smoother. And
multiple places in that game where you could be fooled into like thinking they were all the same other than fidelity is 30 FPS, and you can definitely tell.
Yes,
I mean,
sorry.
they have really good motion,
both performance modes.
I know what you. Yeah, it's really, and dude, there was a time where if I wasn't looking, I would have thought it was ray tracing mode, and it was the original mode because they had faked everything so well. Control faked a bunch of shit too. And people didn't know that. Control faked a boatload of shit. Observer faked a bunch of shit. Then Cyberpunk faked shit. The number of times you'll see somebody fake something and you'll have some jackass who thinks they know what they're talking about. And they'll be like, this is in the game. And by the way, I've been the jackass. I've definitely made that mistake. Where you're like, that's this. And they're like, actually, no, that's us, screen space with this buffer fucking thing. And I think that's awesome, man.
Mm-hmm.
It should be that way. It should be more about art than it is the technical. But I think right now with websites, they're zooming in. But I will tell you this. At some point, if you're zooming in on a pixel, guess what you're seeing regardless? A pixel. Because it's a monitor. And one of the things that I keep trying to fucking tell people is that the only infinite resolution is your eyes, technically. At any other time, you're using optics or lenses or something like that. So you'll see a lot of people who are like, meh, I can see pixels. Yes, you can, because that's what a fucking TV has. Like, at some point, zoom in too far, that is what you will see. Recording as well. A lot of people record. I saw somebody, I'm not going to say who, but they were trying to pass off as a technical. They get away with it, too. They pass off themselves as a technical wizard a lot of times on a lot of games. On a lot of the time. And some of the time, like, they'll zoom in, and they'll be talking about something. You're looking at it going, dude, you recorded this at, like, 30 megabytes, bit rate? Maybe.
Right.
To be lossless, which is more around the lines of 300 to 700. Like, lossless is what you would want to do if you're doing tech stuff, which I'm assuming that's what John does. Digital Foundry, sorry.
Yeah.
But I think Digital Foundry is probably using, a Ninja, which is what I have, the Atmos Ninja, which allows you to do like unlimited bit rate, your lossless bit rate.
Right.
So, yeah. Argue about how cool it is and what it like. Wind Waker looks better than half the games that run at 4K. So,
yeah, it's all down to art style, I feel. Dustin.
Speaking of art style.
Yeah, you're number 2.
My number 2, I want to give some glow to an indie game. Well, sort of indie. So this is a Devolver Digital published joint, okay? And this game is called Inscription. Do you guys know what I'm talking about here?
I did not watch Devolver show.
Yeah.
I will quickly. I'll put the link in the Discord if you guys want to pop it up and see it real quick. But this game is from the creator of a game called Pony Island, which I've not completed it, but I want to go back because I forgot about this game. Where Pony Island is a game where you're playing. I think it's like you're playing an arcade game that's like this silly pony game. And as you play the game, you start to realize that the game is possessed by like Satan. And so it's like this meta game thing that's like not horror, but it's definitely freaky and creepy. And so this new game, Inscription, reads like this. Inscription is an inky black card-based odyssey that blends the deck-building roguelike escape room-style puzzles and psychological horror into a blood-laced smoothie. darker still are the secrets inscribed upon the cards. And we were just talking about art style, and I think this is like the definition of art style. So in this trailer, what's so cool is that there's a card, like this is a card game. So you see like a table, cards going out on the table, and it's very dark. You can't see the rest of the room. And then as the trailer goes on, you can see these characters that you're playing the game, the card game against, and they are freaking creepy. Like really weird looking. The cards start talking to you. And I think what the most interesting element of all is that beyond this card game, there's an escape the room type element. Like it shows the character getting up and walking around this really creepy room. And so there's some kind of like meta level game going on within this. And then towards the end of the trailer, it even shows like there's some kind of like pixel art game within this, and even full motion video. Like it shows a video of someone picking up
I saw a hand,
a floppy. So there's lots of weird stuff going on with this game, and I love weird stuff. And Devolver Digital, they're one of those companies that they have an eye for quality stuff. Like no matter what, I'm trying to think of a game that Devolver put out that was bad. I mean, they've put out stuff that I thought is average. But for the most part, if you see Devolver, it's going to be, Serious Sam. That was one that was not very good. The Devolver did. Sorry,
I'm sure
guys.
the comments will dig into their whole history now.
Oh, I'm sure. But I'm just saying, like, in general, you think about like Hotline Miami, Enter the Gungeon. They put out Fall Guys. Like they have an eye for interesting and unique, fresh ideas. And this one, when I saw it, I was like, damn. There's something about this game that is very interesting to me. I like a good card game. You know, Hearthstone is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Slay the Spire was really interesting.
Love Slay the Spire. Yeah.
For me, it's just like, I want to know, what is this creepy room that you're in? Who are these creepy guys that you're playing this weird card game that has moving cards that are talking to you? So just pretty neat. And coming out this year, I believe. Let me see what it says. I'm looking. Available in 2021. No date yet, but check it out.
I love the name of it because it has crypt in it. Like the way they spell inscription, it has crypt in it. I think that's kind of neat because it's a little nod to what the game's about. It looks interesting. That's actually on my radar now. When I watched that trailer, I thought, wow, this looks really good. Especially it was when I saw the card game, I went, okay, this looks fine. And then I saw it pull out and start doing the escape the room puzzles, and I went, this is where it gets really interesting. So I'm gonna keep an eye on that one. Hopefully it comes out soon as an indie game. It said 2021, and I'm imagining that they don't want to fall into a busy holiday period. So fingers crossed for before then, right?
Right.
All right, so that leaves me with my number 2. So I kind of wanted to go with one title, but one game that's been calling my name, and it's SMT5. This
oh shit.
Yeah. This one, as you can tell, I thought Nintendo had a pretty good show.
Yeah.
This was a game that was revealed alongside the Switch. As many people know, I'm a big Persona fan, and I know that Persona was spun off from SMT, but now Persona is way more popular in SMT. So I was very interested to see how they handled this game, because it's that awkward thing where it's like, do we stick to our guns and do what SMT is known for, or do we make a game that is inspired by our spinoff? And it looks like in a couple of ways that they've taken some cues from Persona in the way that the combat's presented. It's not necessarily the first person dungeon crawling stuff that we've seen in SMT games, and really more so on the 3DS with like Etrian Odyssey and stuff. But what I saw here, I really liked. You for those who didn't see it, it's like a post-apocalyptic Tokyo. I'm obviously a sucker for post-apocalyptic stuff, and so you go in this world and they're like, become a god. And I'm like, this game's just rad. It especially because you get to interact with the demons from Persona on a different level. Normally you're summoning them almost like Pokemon and using their spells as your own. In this case, they're party members. Like they had Jack Frost in your party. I saw that, and just as a Persona fan for so long, I was very excited about just the idea of connecting with these creatures on a different level. But I know that these games are dark, and I was so excited about this. I actually picked up SMT4 on my 3DS, and I'm going to play it before 5 to kind of get a feel for this series and what it's all about, because I've heard fantastic things about its story. And I know Atlas don't miss. So I'm very excited for this one. It's coming out in November, and I'm definitely going to be playing it. I'm just, it looks better than I thought it would, right? For a game that's been gone for so long, I thought, it's, I don't really know if it's going to hit the right mark. And I know I'm a Persona fan, but I don't think I'm an SMT fan. And this was like the one that can really pull me in on a deeper level. So, Dustin, I'm curious for you as someone who's also a big Persona fan, did this grab you as much as it grabbed me?
It did and it didn't. In that, what I saw from the treehouse, I was just kind of skipping around at some of the gameplay. I was like, for me, I really wanted a strong story hook from the trailer, and I did not get that. Which, obviously, I mean, the gameplay looks cool. It's pretty standard JRPG stuff, which is fine. I like that. I just don't. Maybe there's more info out there I haven't seen or anything. I was just like, I don't know what's going on with this game. Which that's such a strong element for me when it comes to Persona is the story and the style. Which, dude, let me tell you though, that main character with the blue hair, amazing.
Yeah,
I love
it.
Love the way that character looks, and so I'm intrigued, but I feel like this may be on me. I need to do a little more personal research.
For what it's worth, I'm excited. I don't know much about the story, but I also kind of choose to pull out of the story details as much as possible with games, because I feel like you can see something and go, ooh, that looks fun, and know how you're going to play the game, but it's not until you get your hands on it that you can feel it if it's actually fun. So knowledge to me doesn't affect the gameplay fun, but knowledge can impact your story enjoyment, right? If you know what's coming and what to expect. So for me, just on a ground level, just knowing, hey, it's post-apocalyptic, and you're trying to become a god. It's like, oh, okay, all right, shit. Yeah. Like that's wild enough for me, because I know Atlas well enough to assume they will go. I don't know if they'll succeed, right? We don't want to assume, but they will go deeper than just what has been presented, as they always do. So I'm very excited for this one. Nintendo Switch exclusive. They had like I said, they had a really good show, and if we did a top 5, I think I'd have another one from their showcase here as well. But yeah, they killed it. And SMT5 hits number 2. So that leaves us with our number 1s.
Damn.
Number
My
1.
Turn?
Yep.
Number 1?
Number 1 for your E3.
Stalker.
Yeah,
Stalker.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm trying not to look up because I don't want to I feel like if I refresh myself, the next one I see will be whatever one I choose as number 1, because it'll be the biggest in my mind. But the biggest in my mind without re-looking is Stalker. Atomic Heart was, but I couldn't figure out. So Atomic Heart finally ran at a frame rate that wasn't speed. It was the worst frame rate I've ever seen in trailers for Atomic Heart for years. I really liked what I saw. But one thing that Microsoft did well was Microsoft didn't have an issue showing games that shared a theme or a genre, which is almost unheard of at E3s. Most of the time, it's like you only show one futuristic shooter, you only show one racer, and they showed multiple things for Cyberpunk. A lot of those looked really good. I wanted to go with Rabbids, but I just don't know enough about what that's going to be. I mean, it's super exciting, but for me, I saw a bunch of Stalker. Like, they showed a ton, which is pretty rare to see that much. And the guns, the way they looked, sound effects, whatever, it's not done yet, but there were some issues there. But just the way the guns, little idiosyncrasies on the rail gun where there were the fingers moving along like an old diesel engine, like pistons that are external or rods that are external. There was so much thought to the look. And I think I told you this, but Iron Lord's podcast, they had seen the guy blink and move, and because Stalker was so buggy originally, they thought the special power in the Stalker 2 trailer was a bug. That's how buggy Stalker is known for. Like that people were just assuming the trailer that Microsoft and these guys were going to show was that buggy. And I thought that was intriguing because, dude, it's jank, man. You play Stalker, Call of Pripyat, you're just like, you got to be prepped for some jank ass game. And at the same time, it's got so much weird, cool, quirky, gnarly shit going on in it. And that's why you have fans who, I mean, that game's got to be over a decade. I don't remember how old it is. It's way over a decade. But that's why Metro became a thing. And that's why I think Stalker 2 is probably going to be very popular. And it just looks good. Graphically, the anomalies, the way that where they were going, it ties into one, in fact. He even states in the extended Microsoft event, they were talking about the antenna, which was a mission to destroy in the prior games. And they're like, it still stands and all that. That mystery shit is what I dig. Like that's what Halo is missing, for instance, is the mystery stuff. Like Halo 1 I used to love because of the who's the flood, what are the flood, and all that. And then once you find stuff out, it's harder to really, I don't know. It's just I like a little mystery, and Stalker returned that mystery. Like everything they showed, every gun, every enemy. That's the first time where I was sitting there like wide-eyed looking at the screen trying to catch every single moment of what was going on, trying to figure out where they were even. And by the way, they even talked about that. They were like, we're going to return to the swamps. And I got to tell you, like, the entire game of Stalker didn't look as good as like a 5 foot by 5 foot section of Stalker 2. Like, that's how far graphics have advanced. It's just, it's nuts, man. It looks so good. It looks fun. Shooting looks awesome, by the way. Just like Necromunda. Necromunda does a great job with recoil. Showing a couple of shotguns in Stalker, and he was firing, and it was doing the thing where it's like, because you cannot control a shotgun perfectly unless you're trained on a shotgun for a long time, or you're shooting those pussy rounds, that the people use for like trick shooting in shotguns. If you're by the way, if you've shot a real shotgun, what you're seeing on YouTube, that's not real. Shoot a real shotgun, it fucking hurts. It's like there's a reason why people wear leather pads and stuff. Like it's ridiculous. That shit. I mean, he was firing, and it looked like. It's that thing where when a gun goes off, if you've ever been near a real gun, when it goes off, there's a moment of hesitation in your brain where it's like, that was a thing. Something just happened. And Stalker 2, every time the gun shot, I was like, whoa, it reminded me, did you guys ever play the PS2 game where they decided to mix the guns at the proper level? Black? You guys ever play Black?
Oh, that's on Game Pass. No, I've never played it.
Black was originally so it was layered so that the guns were as loud, not in real life. Of course, you can't have speakers go that loud. But what they were basically at the point to where it did the same thing in game as it would do in real life, which is cause your ears to just shut off for a second. Like censor everything in your ears is like, okay, don't intake anything. And so that moment of almost like where everything doles down for a second, like in a movie. And that's what they were doing in stock. It's just everything about that game, man. And they didn't even show if there's RPG stuff. The facial animation looked awesome. Characters didn't, but the animation on the faces looked good.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And you can tell that one's like high for me because, dude, the more I saw, the more I was just like, oh shit,
They looked way better than I
hopefully
expected.
It turns out good.
I agree.
Yeah, me too. Stalker. I mean, I like Stalker and all, but you wouldn't tell anybody it was the greatest looking game in the world.
Dustin, numero uno.
Number one. Can you guess?
Think I
Number
know.
one for me is Elden Ring, of course.
No way.
I know, I'm sorry, it's obvious, but man, I really, really loved this trailer because I like a trailer that tells you about the game without directly laying things out, without a voiceover or whatever. You know, it starts off, they show the open world, it shows that you're on a horse, and it's things like that. They showed the open world initially. So it's like, okay, this tells us this game's open world. It's got a mount. There's the part where you're jumping, the horse combat. There's the part where it shows the guys moving the carriage, which to me is like, open world interactions. Like, for example, I'm wondering if this game has I dare say comparable to Breath of the Wild slightly, in that, you know, the three of us can each play this game for a week and then come together and have different stories about what happened. Not so much in emergent gameplay, but just what happens. Like, oh, I saw the guys with the carriage, and so it was nighttime, so I snuck around, and, you know, I
Reminds
was
me
able
more
to
of
take them
almost
off.
Ghost of Tsushima.
Right, yeah.
I don't know why, but yeah, no, I get you.
Yeah. But and then there was other elements of this trailer. Like, it showed the weapon arts, which is, you know, like Dark Souls, but Miyazaki confirmed afterwards that the weapon arts are no longer tied to specific weapons, so you can actually like swap those around, which is really cool. And yeah, it's just I'm curious so much about this open world element. There's a lot of interviews which I've like kind of researched, but I also want to be surprised. And it's interesting too seeing the criticism around this, because some people are like, "Ooh, this just looks like Dark Souls 4." Or it's open world Dark Souls. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds fucking awesome. Like, I love this idea of how they can take this formula. And really, one of the quotes, I can't remember exactly what he said from Miyazaki, but he's really made it clear that it's like, this is the game, we're taking everything we've ever learned from our games and we're putting it into this. You can see that. You can see the Dark Souls art direction, the jumping mechanic. You know, they're introducing some Sekiro elements with the jumping, the stealth, and they're even doing some new stuff. They talked about how certain, I don't know exactly how it works, but you're going to be able to summon enemies. Like, you're going to be able to recruit enemies in a way and then summon them later in battle, which you see that in the trailer. So it almost like has a Pokemon element to it.
Dude, did the horse fucking double jump?
Yes.
Did the horse double jump? Okay. So nobody believed me. I'm like, no, that fucking horse definitely double jumps in that game. So yeah, it's over the top. I like it. I think it looks like Dark Souls 4, and that's good.
Right.
Dark Souls 3 being one of the best ones.
Well, that's something I really am intrigued by, is that this horse is summonable. It's a spirit, some kind of spirit horse. And so it showed specifically him, the character riding a horse and fighting a dragon. I was like, man, how will the ability to get on and off a mount during a boss encounter work? Like, I just feel like that opens up so many possibilities. And
then straight up, remember that? Did you see that, Dustin?
Yeah.
The horse ride straight up the side of some mountain or something? I was just like, damn. It looked it looked good. Brilliant.
So I love a good trailer that it gives you, you know, it tells you the bullet points without telling you, you know, open world, horseback, you know, stealth. It has jumping, which it feels weird to be like stealth and jumping. That's big, but it really is. For games that are so focused on their combat, adding jumping is huge. So I love that it spelled those things out, but it opened up and unlocked my mind into curiosity. Like, you know, it just shows enough to get your mind going on what the different possibilities. Like, one last example, and then I'll stop waxing poetic about this trailer, is that there's like a giant creature that's got a bell under it, but there's a building on top of it, but it's moving. So it's like, oh, so how do you get up there? Maybe you have to wait until it's in a certain location and then jump on top of it. Maybe you have to take it out and then you can get on top of the creature, and maybe there's some kind of treasure in there. It's just that inviting your brain to think about, like, okay, what's going on there? And that's what's so exciting about the open world aspect of it. But anyway, Elden Ring looks great. January, fantastic. I love that we got a date. I'm praying it's not delayed, but if it is delayed, that's okay. They can take the time to do it right.
Right on. So just like you, Dustin, my number one can't be surprising to anybody. It is Starfield. Because we have this pure description of interest, I don't want to say I'm excited for Starfield. Clear I'm excited by the notion of Starfield, but I'm not excited for the game yet. But what I saw in the trailer on a universe level, there were enough details there that really got me thinking deeply on the game, more than I have for a lot of, as someone who covers a lot of games, I think I take a deep cut. But really, it has that kind of BioWare. Like, BioWare and Bethesda are probably the only ones I would go to this length of breaking it down frame by frame, seeing everything that it has to offer. And I'm trying to come at this in a more original way because I've talked about it on my channel 3 different times. I've talked about it in Defining Duke, talking about it here as well. So I think the most simple thing I can say is a lot of what excites me about Starfield is not only what was displayed universe-wise and sort of the buildup of mystery that Bethesda is so good at, but it was also what was said, which was, I know Todd Howard has a reputation for hyperbole at times, which I fully understand, but the way he approached it seemed a lot more controlled, where to me it didn't strike me as hyperbole to say we're taking a more, this game's going to be more hardcore compared to previous ones, which I think doesn't have to be a drastic leap saying, suddenly we're going back to Morrowind. But when you look at 4 and Fallout 4, I should specify, and 76, like, yes, those were clearly not the hardcore games that Bethesda's known for. I would even argue Skyrim wasn't. So to hear that is immensely relieving, and it has me very curious where they go with this game. I think that indicates stuff like no voice protagonist, something that we've said for a while. I'm glad they tried it, got it out of their system, saw if it worked. It seemed likely he wasn't going to go back to it because in a separate interview a year after the game came out, he went, yeah, we didn't do that as well as, it should have been done. And, it kind of hurt the game. So if he admits that, to me, that says either we're going to try it again or we're going to just leave it. It was a fun experiment, move on. So that combined with a upgraded engine for next gen only, the other thing I was hoping for, they're hitting all the right notes is what I'm trying to emphasize here, is it's really less of Starfield, because this could be Fallout, this could be Elder Scrolls. It's that they're talking like Bethesda game studios of old, which is just, we're going to do our thing. We're going to make the best RPG we can. Something that I don't think was emphasized, even with Fallout 4, which was like peak teenage Matty excitement. So that if we were talking strictly from a gameplay point of view, I would say Eden Chronicle was my favorite game I saw at E3. That was just like this, let's take Octopath Traveler and put it on fucking steroids. I loved what I saw about that game, but to not take away from my actual pick, Starfield was the favorite thing I saw at E3. And with that, gentlemen, let's move into the worst of the worst.
What?
Oh, sorry. Please.
Because I don't have worst or worst. I'm going to give a, what's the term for a side thing? Fuck, my brain is like wax
honorable
paper.
Mention.
Thank you. It absolutely would have got my number 1, by the way, if I had seen a little bit more. And I'm not joking, not lying. Elix 2. People who don't like Elix 2. Here's why. Those motherfuckers had to have watched my review. Because in the trailer, they actually are just like, dude, jetpacks everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Jetpacks everywhere. And by the way, if you played that game, it's jank. It also does shit that a lot of other games don't. Like if you sneak into somebody's house, the enemy will actually notice you and will like bitch at you and be like, what are you doing in my house? I jetpacked into somebody's home through a hole in the roof, and I landed on his dishes. And he's like, what are you doing in here? Why are you in my house? And I was like, bitch, why do you have a hole in your roof? Would be the real question. Like, yeah, I just jetpacked into it, but shouldn't you worry about that? Like the weird shit that happens in that game, the jetpack made that game everything. So the idea that they're doing a game and they're just embracing the jetpack, like I want enemies with jetpacks. I want State of Decay zombies to have jetpacks. Jetpacks in every game is the way it should be. I love jetpacks. So anyway, Elix looks awesome. It's $7, by the way, for the original. If anybody likes that, if anybody's okay with jank beyond belief,
how do you spell that?
You should check that. ELEX.
Okay. I was trying
And
to
it is
search it.
I mean, I'm not lying. That game is like, it makes Technomancer look like AAA polished fucking like
That's quite the
an
compliment.
Insomniac game. Yeah, I love it though, dude. It doesn't matter. It never crashed. It's just it's like that old style Gothic. A lot of
Right.
people don't like Gothic because you can die to a rat, and they can't figure out that like in the game, that's the way the game is. You'll die to something that you're like, how did I die to this bitch? But anyway, that's my honorable mention because I don't really have any negatives that I can think of.
Very
Like
impressive.
that popped up. So yeah, so I don't. I mean, there wasn't anything that like. There was stuff I was mad wasn't shown. I will say that
Oh.
for sure.
Well, Dustin and I will run this shit into the ground then on stuff.
Yeah,
we
you guys
can't
can embrace the negativity.
Real quick. So I looked up Elix on Steam, which is surprisingly still $50, which is odd to me.
Oh,
But I'm friends with our friend Lockmort on Steam, and he actually has a review posted that I would like to read. It says, "A highly realistic game. The first NPC I meet asked me to follow him. I stop for a second to pick some flowers, turn around, and he's gone. Just like my parents." 11 out of 10.
there you go.
Damn.
10 out of 10. That's a
Lockmort.
Steam review, by the way. That's why you
That's a
can't
Steam
trust
review.
Steam reviews. Dude, how many times have you gone into Steam review and a person's like 0 out of 10 and they'll be like, no baby killing or whatever. And
Yeah.
you're like,
Yeah.
damn. Seriously? Anyway, that's awesome, though. That's awesome. Go ahead.
The stinkers.
Let's embrace the bad.
Let's embrace the awful. Let's do it.
Maddie, do we want to do... I have 3 here, so I was thinking I'll just blitz all 3 because I'm not going to talk as long about them
Sure.
as
Yeah.
the other 3.
Oh, yeah, that works.
Okay. The first stinker, and I will do these from most disappointing. How about that? So the third, this one isn't disappointing. I just think it sucks. This stupid Ubisoft Avatar game. Get the fuck out of here. Avatar, I'm so over it. And dude, not only that, you come to me with something that everyone's over, and there's not even any gameplay. James Cameron, fuck James Cameron. Sorry, I can't. I'm not here for it. I'm not here for Avatar.
What did James Cameron
Okay.
do? What did I miss? I only saw
He's just
Avatar for
fucking
the
James
first time
Cameron.
like last year.
He's pretty pretend. I mean,
He's
I like
pretentious dick.
Avatar, but he's a pretentious. He's pretty up there on the pretend. Like that dude. I don't know if you guys saw his Oscar. Well, he won an Oscar one time, and basically like was like there was no one else but me running. Like he's
That's kind of
he's peak optimism, self-optimism. We'll just call it that.
Anyway, I don't want to dwell on that. If you're an Avatar fan and you're leaving a comment, sorry, I guess. I don't know. I'm not sorry.
You're not. Just like Bethesda's not sorry that Starfield's exclusive. Did you guys see that? They were just
Right. Oh, with Pete Hines.
Yeah, they were
he
like-
said he was sorry.
Yeah,
and-
they were like
Dude,
Bethesda apologized for exclusivity. I'm like, damn, the media ran with that one.
No, dude, I felt okay. I'll try to be as quick as possible. I felt bad for Pete because he was just being a genuinely like, yeah, this sucks. Sorry, like it sucks that some people won't be able to play it. Sorry. And then people were like, they're apologizing, and he was just kind of like, I hate that he had to issue a second statement that was like,
Oh,
Not
are you saying he
apologizing.
was just saying it was just a comment drop?
He was
He's
like
just
almost
I'm sorry you
acknowledging
can't play
that
it.
it's
That was
yeah,
it.
Yeah.
And then people were like jumping onto that saying you took your time to apologize. I gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty stupid. That's pretty stupid.
okay. The second one, which this is like I'm saying this on behalf of the fans of this franchise, even though I've never played it. That is Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp. I know a lot of people love Advance Wars. I don't know anything about this, really. I've seen the
Love
gameplay.
the originals.
People love the original. This remake is stinky. It looks like Fisher-Price toys, and I couldn't believe at how gross I thought this game looked. And it sucks because I've seen the pixel art of the original Advance Wars. I think it looks great. And
called-
they just...
Um,
What's that?
Dustin? Advance Wars 3? Or what's this called? Advance Wars remake?
Oh,
Reboot.
Advance
Camp.
Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp.
Oh, fuck you with the names. Jesus.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
So
the name is-
dumb. I gotta
But-
look at this.
I know that in the original Pixar art, the characters are very orange and blue, but like, man, something about this reboot just looks,
Oh, this is horrendous.
yeah. So I feel bad because I know a lot of people have been waiting for this series to come back.
Yeah, I'm a huge Advance Wars fan. That's horrendous looking.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna support it. I think I want to pick it up. I'll be honest. I'll pick up this stinker.
Pick it up. Yeah. So okay, and then the number one stinker of E3. If you weren't ready, this is Final Fantasy Origins. What is it?
Oh my God!
What is it
the
called?
only one I would also put on there.
Okay, guys. Here's the thing. A few weeks before E3, 1 or 2, 1.5, whatever, we hear about Final Fantasy is getting the Dark Souls treatment via Team Ninja. And it's like, man, this could be cool. We can get the anime Dark Souls that we've always wanted. And it'll be great because we know that Team Ninja makes good games with Neo. It sounded so good in our head, guys. It sounded so good. And then we see this trailer. And this fucking trailer is just
jank.
This man was wearing a t-shirt, man. Did you see that shit?
This man is wearing a long. It's almost like he's wearing a onesie, but he didn't button up the part that's by your taint, and it's just like hanging down. And it's a meme at this point, so I won't go over. But I'm here to kill chaos. It's more than a desire. I have to. It's a hunger. And it's like, what the fuck are you even saying? Like, I know. Okay, I'm a Kingdom Hearts fan, so I know that people are already like, "Oh, you like that shit," and it's like, yeah, okay, that's fine, fair point. I'll accept that. But man, this trailer, to the guy at the end, he's like, I'm not so and so. I've become chaos. It's like,
it's pretty awful.
On top of that, the demo, not hot either, in my opinion. It just feels like you can tell. You can tell when you play the demo that it's the Neo team. It just feels like an incredibly worse version of Neo. Like,
yep.
We are talking Neo, right? Neo 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Which are phenomenal.
Yep.
Right.
They're
so that makes this like.
Well,
it should be better by brand association. It should be leagues beyond what Neo is.
That's why I was saying it's twice as bad because it should be better because they've learned, and it should be better because it should not be better, but it's got the IP and it looks like trash. It's like C tier platinum games where sometimes you're like, what the fuck are they doing?
Mm-hmm. I need. Okay, so you guys haven't played the demo. You should. I'm really curious if you guys played it as Neo fans, because I'm a little mixed on Neo, even though I think it is good. It's one of those things where I don't know if I like some of the aspects of the way the combat works, but that's just me on a personal level. I'm not saying it's bad.
Right.
So I'm curious from people that are Neo fans if they thought this demo was good, because I was playing it and I was like, this is.
I have friends who
this is not it.
Really gassed it up, but they're like, I say this with all due respect, they fucking like gas up anything in the Souls franchise, anything like Soulsborne, Kiro, Neo, like they just love it all. They eat it up. For me, from the outside looking in, I was like, this game just looks like, it looks like exactly what I feared it would be, which is, man, I hope they don't make a crappy Souls kind of game that feels like it's lacking in mechanical depth and is a complete cash-in because of the IP it's tied to. I hope they capitalize on it and make something that dominates Neo 2. And they didn't do that. It doesn't look like anything close to that. Because I saw some people defending it, going like, well, it's an experimental game. I'm like, no. Neo 1 and 2 were your experiments. Sorry. Those are your experiments to say we figured it out, in my opinion. Now,
and experiments fail.
Yes, that too. It was really disappointing. It was a game that
it was really disappointing
on paper. Yeah, I didn't have that on my list. I actually forgot about it. That's how little I cared about it, because I saw it on paper and went, oh, this is something that sounds cool. And then I heard about the trailer and I just saw everyone talking about the demo being broken, and I'm like, yep, this sounds like a colossal fuck up across the board.
Was that number one?
That was number one for me.
Dustin's number one.
That did you guys do the before Matty goes? Do you guys do the Scarlet Nexus demo? Because man, I thought that I watched the Thursday Xbox thing where they let the devs talk, and I was like, man, this looks awesome. And then every person I've talked to said that the game fucking demo sucks.
Yes,
like it's terrible. Is that true?
I don't get
it. Dude, it's a lot. No, I mean there was no positive feedback on that demo. It was shocking. Like I was so excited. I went into my Discord and people were like, dude, it fucking demo's terrible. So that makes me nervous because, well, this weekend, like some, reviewing it and stuff. So,
Yeah.
Dude, I
Dustin, you
played
played
the
it.
Scarlet
What was
Nexus
bad?
demo.
Was it just bad?
This is where I'm really not. I am kind of a game critic, but it's weird because I feel like at a loss for words. It was a few weeks ago now. I remember feeling like the gameplay just like. Do you ever just play a game and it just doesn't feel fun to play? It's the most. It's the worst way to describe it because it's like, well, why didn't it feel fun to play? And I'm like, I kind of don't know. Like it had a lot of like you can switch between these different characters and have different character abilities, and it just it wasn't very fun. And the other thing was like it does the cheap cutscenes and gameplay where it's like a character. It's not like Persona where you have like a portrait. It was just like a picture of someone's face and text
gotcha.
underneath.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Bandai does that with some stuff.
Interesting.
Just a face.
See, that's fine in certain games. Like, I feel like if your game is, just to call up because we were kind of talking about like Octopath or something, like where it's not fully animated or you can't see facial animations, then a picture, kind of like in a la Persona where you see the portrait of the character. Is that what it's like, Dustin? Because I feel like that works for some games, but for something like Scarlet, which is 3D models and they're there and alive, really, they should be moving about.
No, I don't think there's any movement. I'm trying to a lot of this is that I really just don't I don't remember the demo. It was like almost probably a month ago now that I played it, and it was so forgettable that
explains why no one's
that
talking about
match is dude, it's ridiculous. Like I've never had that kind of bass awkward. It felt like the Medium, reviewing the Medium all over, where I thought one thing and I went in and people were like, yeah. And with this game, I saw the stuff on Thursday and I jumped in and like it was just universal, man. And it was even big fans were like, dude, at least from what that demo showed, that is not going to be a good game. And I was really surprised it was just universal, which that is it's rare these days to get a universal feedback.
Yeah. I'll go now. I guess I'll rapid fire through mine.
Do it.
Yep.
All right, number 3, another Square Enix nod here. Final Fantasy on mobile. They take 1 through 6. They throw these fuckers on Steam. They throw them on phones. I'm convinced that Square Enix despises Final Fantasy fans. It reminded me of Final Fantasy VII, where people thought, oh, they're going to announce the remake. The trailer's not, it's going to convert, surely. I think it was the 2014 conference on Sony's stage. And they just show Final Fantasy VII being ported to PS4. And everyone's like, what the fuck is this tone-deaf announcement? This is one of those moments where I don't think it was as tone-deaf, but it was another situation where I went, why are you so obsessed with limiting this franchise? Just the way they treat it, as we touched on a little bit with Chaos Final Fantasy or whatever it's called. And now this, it was just, it blew my mind. It really did. It's like, okay, you're halfway there. And it's like, why are you halfway there? Why aren't these games on different consoles? And especially when Square Enix's mobile initiative is consistently bad. It has never been good. And especially the Final Fantasy ports, which people have said are bad. So now PC players are getting the bad version. I think it's just frustrating. I think it's super frustrating. But that's why it's at number 3. Number 2, you'd think it'd be a game. You'd think it'd be a moment. It is a whole fucking conference. Capcom never fucking show up to E3 again. Never show up to E3 again unless you were a part of someone's showcase because you don't get it. You don't get it. You announced DLC. You showed off. And as a visual novel fan, let me make it clear, I geeked out over Danganronpa Decadence, but there was a reason why people geeked out over it. It's because it wasn't shown for like 20 minutes. Phoenix Wright for like a 20-minute showcase? No. Bad choice. Then on top of that, you wrap it up with esports. Fucking esports, man. I felt like I was in a fever dream. I couldn't believe it. And then it's over. They recapped it. They like hired a host and everything. Some of all this pandemic showed is some of these companies need these recurrent E3 showcases to remember what it was about. Between that and like Take-Two's Zoom call, I was flabbergasted by how out of touch these companies were. But what was probably the most infuriating one of them all was Babylon's Fall.
Oh,
just okay. So while Dustin was talking, I was bringing up a tweet because I was like, I'm pretty sure there's something I had to say. So January 6th, 2020, Gamatsu posts, Platinum Games receives capital investment from Tencent Holding to expand into self-publishing. I saw this and I'm like, I remember distinctly going, man, I hope they're not making like a live service game or something. Why would Tencent invest in them? And I put I quote tweeted it because this is when I dropped my Astro Chain and Platinum Games history video. And I said, I just made a video praising y'all to the highest degree. Why Tencent? Oh, well. And then after they show it, we learn it's a live service game. And they described it as Babylon's Fall aims to be a Nier Automata that never ends, which betrays everything that Nier was about. Everything, man. It was fucking unreal. I felt like I was talking to a wall. So as much as I love Platinum Games, this was a fat ass miss. I was once again, these last two like could both, depending on the day, sit there in first place. They really could. Like there were just these two as titans of E3 as just what the fuck happened. So as a Platinum Games fanboy, I felt like I got Fallout 76 with Babylon's Fall. It's just like, why? This makes no sense, man. It makes no sense.
Matty, I have to chime in here too.
Please.
So, first of all, the what the fuck is going on with the visuals of this game? Like, it looks like, I think there's another thing that Kyle Bossman sent in his video. I just want to make sure that, people know this wasn't my original thought, but it was very well said. This game looks like there were three art directors and they are battling for what this game should look like. Mm-hmm. It's got like this super generic high fantasy feel. And then it also has this weird watercolor look that just looks like someone barfed on the screen. Like they ate like a bunch of Skittles or something and then threw up on the screen. Dude, I've seen games that take a watercolor painting aesthetic that look great. This one is not one of them.
Yeah.
And dude, it just like anything, there's nothing about this game visually that really looks good. And then on top of that, it's like, part of me, hear me out here, because Colin posed this to me on Sacred Symbols. They really wanted to evoke Nier. They started off by talking about Nier. I'm like, man, this actually could have been like, imagine if they made this a Nier game. Okay. I know live service, a lot of people instantly red flags go up, but imagine a game called like Nier Yorha Origins or something. You create your own android, and it's about, you go through and you do missions with other members of Yorha where you're taking out different robots, or maybe there's even some of the fight with the aliens or whatever. I mean, there's a huge thousands of years that happened before Nier Automata, which, again, this is a Yoko Taro thing, so maybe he wouldn't want to do that. But I'm like, even though I don't necessarily am saying I want like a Nier live service game, it would have been way better than this generic ass looking shit.
Yeah, I think that's fair if you lean in Nier. It would also be kind of like license abuse. Like, okay, we finally got Nier into a popular spot. Live service game.
Live service. Oh, yeah.
They did do, I think it's called like Reincarnation, which is a mobile gacha game. And
I'd rather have this than a Nier live service game like that than a mobile game.
This Genshin Impact wave is going to be the death of me, because I'm going to see so many fucking games I know. Genshin was the first, and I know it's not going to be the last, where I go, wow, this looks like it could be so much more. And you're not going to let me just pay $60 and have a full game. You're going to try to milk the shit out of me and make something half-baked. This is next in line. There's going to be another one because Genshin is making boatloads of cash. Like, I say this all the time, but man, if I could just pay $60 for Genshin Impact and just strip out the monetization, strip out the dailies, just give me a story, give me that world, that art style, and those characters you can play as with the same combat, I'd be thrilled. But there's just too much shit in between that just bothers me. And I feel like Babylon's Fall is going to be that. And I get it. You want to set up a recurrent revenue resource or whatever, or source. Sure. But as a Platinum Games fan, this was so disheartening to see. You know, it's like you go independent and you make a live service game. It makes sense, but it also doesn't, because
you look at so many companies that have someone overhead pushing them into live service for their shareholders. But in this case, they're like, we're going to do it on our own. So we're going to make a live service game. It's like, fuck, man. This is why they're just so weird financially. They went independent. They took an investment from Tencent for self-publishing, and then they kickstarted the Wonderful 101 remaster. It's like, are you able to do this on your own or not? I can't really gauge where they're at. And then, of course, Bayonetta 3 just falling off the face of the planet. They're in a really weird spot. As long as they get Astral Chain 2 out, that's all I care about, right?
Astral Chain on PS5. Let's go. I think Nintendo owns something about that, but I want it to run at 60. Damn it.
Yeah, I agree. We actually talked about that on Defining Duke Ultimate. We were speculating about games that could come over from the Switch. I was like, I feel like Astral Chain falls in that bin. Like, that could definitely leave the Switch and get 60 FPS and more people would play it, and suddenly it's this underrated gem. But yeah, as it stands now, no word on that.
No.
All right, gents. It's time for us to do patron questions and wrap this shindig up. Get out of here.
Not a lot.
Start our weekend. Not a lot, I know.
It's kind of, not that we like the interaction, but
not bad. But also, just on the other hand, like, I wonder if this is just a reaction to all the content we've been hit with. They have so many Duke podcasts this week, Sacred Symbols. They've got Ham Radio. Got all my videos. So it's like they feel like questions have been answered. So let's get it started with Ina. Howdy, fellas. Just had a simple and really quick question. What game out right now on console or PC do you think would translate well into the mobile platform? I just tried out League of Legends mobile game and was surprised at how good it was. Cheers, fellas. Love you all. Thank you, Ina. I don't think on this level. Do you guys? I don't know if I have an answer. I don't want to think of anything that could go to mobile because I think by definition it's limited, right? So I don't know if I have an answer.
I guess I'm thinking from the perspective of like making a console game with touch controls on your phone, and not my thing. Like I'm not the type of guy that I'm like, fuck all mobile games, because I feel like the best mobile games are games that are designed for mobile. Best console games or PC, those are designed for those platforms. Because just the input is so different. So I don't know. I don't have an answer for this. Sorry I'm comping out. But
Karak, you're a big mobile guy.
Yeah, I think my mic was not working because I was going to say something all the way back about Babylon's Fall.
Oh,
so I'm going to answer
I'm sorry.
two things.
I'm sorry.
I've tried to interject twice and I haven't seen my light up.
Yeah,
so
I don't
think
you.
I think it's on my side. Babylon's Fall, real quick. I think the reason why Dustin's noticing something, because I've been watching this trailer. If you look at the trailer at 1080p, which is the highest it goes, it actually, I'm counting 480 pixels. So there's something going on, and I don't know if people know, but YouTube has had an issue where it's not up-resing your videos when you upload them right now. I uploaded a video for a review and it stayed at 1080p. It didn't go to 4K. I'm believing that's what you're seeing right now with this video, at least, because this video is definitely fucked up. It also looks like the NVIDIA filter for paint watercolor. So NVIDIA filters, you can, and so I personally actually like the idea, but you can, if you pause it, like I paused this trailer at 1 minute 13 seconds. That's like 180p resolution. As 1080p. So something that could be the same thing I'm running into where they uploaded. I'm not saying it'll magically make it better, but I saw people saying this looks blurry and shit. And also it's got horrible sound, which, by the way, you have to have good sound for like a fighter. All those things, like I sort of dig the idea of a watercolor game like you guys did too. Nobody said they did.
Yeah.
But I actually do believe that they may actually, that's at least for this, what I'm seeing, there is a technical issue with their video. Like, if you get a chance, go to YouTube and look. There is something wrong with the actual upload. So that's one thing about Babylon's Fall. There was something else I was going to say. No big deal. No loss. So we were talking about this mobile. I would say Chimera Squad. I would like to see on mobile. Chimera Squad's the XCOM light. And I liked Chimera Squad despite some issues, but Chimera Squad had some tactics that you've never seen in XCOM, which is like breaking into, you had to choose which side of a building to go into, and you got to like role play almost like the ending of Mass Effect 3 or 2, where you choose who goes on what mission. Here you chose who went in through what door. If they had a particular blast charge, it would do better. I loved that. And mobile, I'd play the fuck out of it. Any game that's like Star Rangers or Star Traders, I would like, and I think there is a ton on the consoles that I would like to see. We saw Oxenfree obviously make those a point and click and 2D. I am a big, wouldn't say mobile fan. It's just that when I have time, I want to see a real game. So the weakness everybody else sees on moving stuff to mobile, I agree with. It's just, if the opposite of that is going to be the shit games we normally get, that sucks. So to me, like suggesting some really good games is awesome because they get the shaft, and they could do awesome. There's games that could be on mobile that I look at, on PC and I'm like, Jesus, why is that not on mobile as well when it could finally do it? And even with touch, I think touch is the big issue with mobile.
Yeah.
Touch just doesn't feel good. It sounds weird because it's called touch, but it blows dick. And it's weird when I'm playing my Xbox streaming and I have a controller and the game feels 100,000 times better, even if the game is friggin' turn-based, where it shouldn't feel better. Or it doesn't have any right to feel that much better, and it feels that much better. I would rather stream it from my PC or my Xbox than I would play the native. I don't know how they fix that. People have talked about haptics on the back of phones. I don't know if you've seen that lately, but I think Samsung had tried to do the Steam thing on the back. This looks really dirty, but like all those things people have been trying to do. I would love to see that improved. I think mobile has a place where you could see some great side games as well. So like the base management we see in games, I would love to see that on mobile, where you can base manage on mobile, and then you go to your normal game, which Fallout Tactics, but merged with Fallout somehow. Because I don't know if that happened. I had originally thought Fallout Tactics was going to be, I do shit in Fallout Tactics, and in Fallout I have more resources. But that didn't happen, right? That's a dream of mine, right? Mm-hmm. They weren't connected, were they?
Tactics was a semi-canon entry.
It didn't. What I'm saying is, it didn't connect game-wise to 4, right? As in, if I got resources in Tactics.
Oh no! Sorry, no. I thought you meant connected canonically. No, it did not. I wish that'd be cool.
Sorry. Yeah. No. And I feel that most game companies that put them on mobile.
Are you thinking of Shelter, not Tactics?
I said Tactics. Yeah, I meant
Shelter. Doesn't connect either. Shelter just had things from 4 in there, but like it wasn't.
But imagine if you could. Yes. There are so many things that could go on mobile. You remember when Microsoft used to be like, dude, you fucking grab your this and that, you're playing your character, and you're like, okay, but really what it is the inferior controlling version on mobile. Mm-hmm. Instead, why don't you embrace it and say, if you buy the mobile game, whatever this may be, it does this for your main game. And if it's engaging and fun, fuck, I'd be there day one, man. There's multiple games out there where base management is sort of not very good on console. Improve it by having a mobile version of it, or if you want, stuff like that. But talking a lot about mobile. I actually think mobile's a place. Dude, they're powerful phones. My phone is freakish powerful, man. That thing's like doing 4K video. It's doing shit that would choke like an Xbox 360. So why aren't we playing games like that?
I think it's because of the market of games that are there that's popular and that more likely makes money, right? I think that's a big part. For
sure. Yeah, I mean, dude, try buying a premium game. It's hard. Mm-hmm. Go to Google Android Play Store or whatever and go, I want to buy a game and never have to pay again. The number of those games is insanely low.
Why they're popular.
It's KOTOR 1 and 2.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think Jade Empire's
like
there.
Number 1 and 2. And Jade Empire's there. Yeah.
I think there's what is it? Mistwalker put a game out there as well that looks really good.
They did.
And that's Apple Arcade. That looks great, but I mean it's not done yet. That's like the first part, I think. And the rest is coming whenever. So Yeah, it's like you said, it's probably why it's valuable for if your game can. Like, that's why I'm surprised Octopath Traveler isn't on phones, because I'm thinking, that's a small game in the sense of how it's visually presented, where I feel it could fit fine onto phones. And
there's nothing that's requiring you to have high fidelity of thumb movement.
Yeah,
you could do picking and choosing, right? Dude, it's like I said, my phone's freakishly powerful. And once I stepped up to this phone, because I'm not a cell phone fan, I don't even have a phone number. I just have the thing for fucking reading PDFs and playing games. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't use it as normal people do. But they're ultimately powerful, man. There's some really cool stuff that could happen. I hope it does someday, because I actually think whatever company cracks that, whether it be streaming, I guess, with Xbox maybe. But I just feel that their premium games can do well there if they figure it out.
Agreed. Next entry comes from Coach Blue. All right, fellas, it's time I join Sean Mason in sharing some of the wacky things I see as a teacher. So we got multiple teachers here in the audience. Shout out to the teachers. In my 12th grade world literature class, my students finished reading the book 1984 by George Orwell. For final projects,
good on you.
I had my students design their own dystopia and write a story set in their dystopia. One of my students wrote about a dystopian Earth where everyone is morbidly obese, and the following is a passage from their story. Quote, Africa's population has been drastically reduced in this dystopia because lions now see humans as baby elephants and hunt them relentlessly. End quote. Kids these days.
Wow.
Good on them.
These fucking... I feel...
Good story, bro.
Yeah.
Would read again.
Yeah, it's wild because, my brother's a teacher and my mom's a teacher's aide. So, like, I hear these stories and I'm thinking, like, we just have a wild school near us. But, I mean, it seems just it's globally. These kids are out of control. They need to be brought in line. Sean and Coach Blue need to guide the youth a little more tightly if they're going to talk about...
He's also having them read a book that a lot of schools wouldn't even have, dude. A lot of schools would not have that book anymore in their in their ability for kids to even read them, which is sad. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that book, but a lot of schools are going really weird with what they let their kids read. So good on him for letting them read it.
Yeah, I liked when I was a student, and like what would happen is my brother's 5 years older than me, so when we get a book, he typically go, "Oh, we read that too," and there was an underwhelming sense because you were like, "Oh, I'm just following the same curriculum that's been established for probably a decade now." And so when we brought home a book that maybe he hadn't heard of or hadn't seen before, it's a little more exciting because you knew the teacher was tapping in something of their own, right? And that personally engaged me a little bit more as a pretty shitty student. So
isn't it weird too that we used to have teachers that didn't have the internet? So like they'd be teaching you what they knew. They thought it might be right, and maybe it was proven wrong. But it's like, how many times did you get taught something in science class or whatever that now would have been fixed? Weekly would have been updated. Science was a big one. Fucking that shit changes quick.
I was gonna say we had rather. I distinctly remember a time in a chemistry class in high school where a student was correcting the teacher because like something was off.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like awkward kind of, because as the student, you're like, you're supposed to know everything, even though like they're human, they're not going to.
You mean as a teacher? You mean as a teacher?
As the teacher, yeah. You assume that, right? Like they have all the answers.
Dude, I don't know when this changed, but we had a discussion where my teacher was dead set that there would never be chimera, which is basically taking like Firefly DNA and put it in tobacco plants. So the tobacco plant, when it glows at night, it's ready to be harvested. Like that's one of the first like big changes where they merge animal and plant DNA. Back when like I was in school, they didn't know that would be possible. So it was like, no, that's science fiction. Isla Dr. Moreau shit, science fiction. It'll never happen. And it's like now we have China admitting that they made ape babies, ordered them once they like brought them to term. You're just like, damn. It's shit. Science is quick, man. It doesn't wait around for nobody.
Absolutely.
Good on him though for letting him read it.
Yep. Speaking of Sean Mason, in our last post, he writes in, "Hey, Ham fam, at the time of writing, only 5 days remain in the school year. With that, this will be my final write-in about my adventures with my students until September. In the waning days, I am showing the classic and my favorite film, Back to the Future. Well, when I thought I couldn't be any more surprised by the naiveness of the past, I was proven wrong. Prior to starting the film, a boy asked if the film was released before or after the world discovered colors. At first, I thought he was asking if the film was in black and white or color, but upon further discussion, it became apparent that he legitimately thought the real world was in black and white until colored TV shows and movies became a thing. We then had a 20-minute discussion on why old photos, movies, and TV shows were in black and white. By the end, he still didn't believe me or any of his classmates. He was positive we were pulling an elaborate prank on him. So my question, what is something you believed for a long time only to find out it wasn't true? Best, Sean M." Oh, wow. I just picked my head up to see Dustin.
Sorry,
Dude, that's just not that crazy, man. Especially with black and white stuff, you'd be surprised how many people like used.
That's actually hilarious, man.
By the way, I don't know if you guys ever read Snow Crash and the Technomancer, the older, or Neuromancer, the older cyberpunk books, but he describes static. He was describing the static you see on a UHF channel when you go on a rotary dial channel. Well, now people don't ever see that. And so he was like sitting there going, when he describes it, he has to let the viewer just assume whatever they want to assume, because many kids won't have seen that. I can see, I mean, that's a dumb, I think that kid was probably pulling his leg, to be brutally honest, but it is possible that somebody's just that dumb.
Yeah.
I mean, right? Or not dumb, but what would the term be? Unlearned. It happens.
You want to be nice to the youth, right? I didn't want to use the word dumb, but it's just like,
yeah,
wow.
I don't know what, unlearned,
Clueless.
Not taught well,
So, okay, I can't think of anything for something that I believed and then found out it wasn't true. I'm positive there are. I had a revelation the other day, guys, that makes me sound incredibly, incredibly dumb, but I'm willing to share it with you guys here on the podcast. I was thinking about the series Max Payne. And I don't know why I thought of this, but I was like, I knew that his last name was Payne. Like, he has a painful history. And then I realized, I was like, oh, Max Payne, like maximum pain.
Yeah.
His whole name is meant to be like a play on his life. I was like, oh, because I just always thought it was I never considered the Max part of it.
You just thought it was Max.
I just thought his
normal.
name was Max, and then his last name was Payne, and I was like, oh, yeah, because he's in, his family dies or whatever, and so he's in pain. I never thought about Max as in maximum pain.
Side note, I love the subway level in the first Max Payne. I remember playing that. I remember playing that on the demo.
Moments. One of the greatest moments in gaming.
Yeah, just I don't know what it was.
For me,
it was so dark.
For years you couldn't have the same name location in the city because people would get confused. So when I found out Georgia was both in Russia and in America, completely dead set that was possible, because I couldn't figure out how you could have two places like both named Georgia. And for years I was playing, I remember playing Rainbow Six, and they were like, Tbilisi, Georgia is Rainbow Six, Rogue. This is the Dreamcast game, so I think it would have been Rogue Spear, and they said they invaded Georgia, and I thought it also has deciduous trees. It's got all the right trees too. So I actually thought they were invading America, Georgia. Like I was like, oh, and I thought it was America for like almost 2 years of playing that game until somebody's like, no, dude, what are you talking about? I was like, well, it's Georgia, right? I'm like,
right.
No.
I have one that I had much earlier, but a lot of people had when 76 came out, is that there is Virginia and West Virginia. I had that in high school.
Oh, dude.
You're like,
oh.
Yeah, where you're like, what? Because geography, definitely not my specialty. And just general, at times, map knowledge, as much as I like history, like I can just be very spotty with that. So like in high school, when I found out that there was like a West Virginia, you're just like, what? On top of a normal Virginia?
I actually totally think that that's normal, because like and then state capitals that are the names of countries or whatever. At times it can be really confusing, especially in America, where people were just naming shit as they sprinted through it. So you got some really weird weird ass naming conventions.
Yeah, like I think the New England Patriots, like I'm pretty sure they play out of Boston or something, and
Yeah,
and it's just like
exactly.
as a kid, I'm like, oh, they're in the UK, you know, like they're across the
Dude, it makes
the
total
ocean.
sense. Yeah. Yep. I get it. Dude, how many times when you were a kid, did you know where Canada was on the map? Telling you right now, it took me years to figure out where but you're soccer, or you're ice, whatever, ice hockey too. So you may have known, but I didn't know for years. I couldn't figure out where Alaska was either. Like Alaska, Canada, because I don't know if you guys know, but Alaska was Russian. We got Alaska from Russia. And so, but that helps you sort of know where it is actually. But dude, it's confusing as fuck, man. Mm-hmm. Or Greenland it's all ice and Iceland is all green.
Yes, that was another one. Yeah, that was another one. Yep.
When I was a kid, Iceland meant fucking like wind blowing and people freezing to death. And they're like, dude, what are you talking about? It was so confusing at the time to understand the names and how they were named versus what they actually were.
Yeah. Cody Richter's our next write-in. Hey, Green Eggs and Ham. With the release of the next-gen console or next-generation upgrade of Elder Scrolls Online coming out June 15th, I'm looking forward to getting back into this game. I played a bit of ESO when it launched, but I plan to get back into playing it with my girlfriend on PS5. That being said, she has never played an Elder Scrolls game or MMO like this, but she seemed interested in playing this with me. So that brings me to the next question. Do you guys have any pointers on which class, build, etc. she should play as a newbie that won't push her away from the game right off the bat? I can answer this because I literally had the same exact scenario, tit for tat, just a couple months ago when my girlfriend and I fired up Elder Scrolls Online. She had never played Elder Scrolls before. She was interested in it just as a game that we could play together. She played as of course I'm going to forget the name. I'm going to have to look up the classes, but I believe it was like a paladin, or that's not the right name. It was this is going to bug me. Give me 1 sec. I'm going to have to look it up. But really, I think anything melee tank-based should be totally fine for a newcomer. I mean, Elder Scrolls Online in general just isn't super complex in its combat. It's like block when they're glowing a certain color, stagger attack when they're glowing another color, and just go from there. Like Necromancer is one I wouldn't recommend.
Don't they warn you, Maddie? I'm almost 100% sure when you choose classes, it tells you in the hint and says like for experienced players, for novice players. Is that not ESO? I could be wrong. It's been a long time since I made an ESO character, but I thought they did that typical thing where they're like for novice players. Maybe I'm wrong on that.
They might. They genuinely might. I'm on the website. Let me see if they mention it. They don't, but
you know how some games will say that when you're getting ready to choose a character, it'll have an asterisk and it'll be like good for solo. They'll state that in a lot of MMOs. They'll just state very clearly good for solo players, you know. Anybody who can heal and do damage is your good solo player. That's because you have to be able to like balance that, you know, balance those two things.
I would tell her to play, this is the one that my girlfriend played as, plays the Templar, not Paladin, but I was in the same ballpark. They're able to do a lot of damage and they can heal themselves and allies. So it's just let her heal herself, of course. And, you know, she has that alongside potions, and, you know, you won't have to take care of her if she's not really experienced in action games. At least my girlfriend wasn't. So it was, you know, a good balance.
The game's really newbie friendly.
Yeah. She can really play what she wants.
Friendly freaking MMO there is.
I agree. The only thing that sucks is they're playing on console, and the HUD on console is, I thought it was good, and it is good if you're familiar with Skyrim. If you've never played Skyrim, you might find yourself explaining things that you typically wouldn't think you'd have to. Like my girlfriend, she's not like a hardcore gamer, but she plays games every now and then, enough to say she's a gamer. And I'd say she's familiar and intuitive enough to figure things out on her own, of course. And she was confused by the HUD because one of them is the arrows. Because for us with Skyrim, it's like, it's a faded arrow. That means that it's a quest marker that we don't have active. It's a white arrow. Yeah. And there's different types of arrows. So it works for, if you're a Skyrim fan, it's been a game that's been around for a decade, so a lot of us have played it. But if you haven't, which my girlfriend hasn't, and it sounds like Cody's hasn't, you might find yourself explaining these very meticulously different quest markers and how to identify them. And it can be a pain in the ass, because then as I started to try to put it into words, I'm like, this actually is, it's good if you know what if you're familiar to a small extent, but if you're not, you're really hung out to dry there. So just keep that in mind. You might need to prepare to explain that or just have her follow you. But, of course you want her to learn the game too. All right. 2 questions left. This one comes from New Ukala Stick. What up, Hammers? I somewhat recently finished Persona 5 Royal, and as a first-time Persona or even JRPG player, I was so hooked with the game, gameplay, and story. However, in capital letters, after I finished, I learned that I failed to actually unlock the Royal content to play the extra semester. Somehow, I think I missed indicators of the game telling me what is required to unlock the Royal stuff, probably because I was being a dumbass. So now to my question. First, Dustin and Maddie, who is your P5R best girl? And second, have any of you had a similar experience of unknowingly missing out on content in a game? If so, how'd you find out? Probably too late for this week, but hope it makes it in next week. No, it's not. For those who want to know, you're free to throw questions in here up until like probably 5, 6 o'clock on the day we record, because we go pretty deep into the night. Dustin, if you would like,
best girl, for Persona 5 Royal is Kitsumi, of course. Right?
I disagree, but
oh, okay. Well, fuck you. But go ahead.
I like Makoto the most. I think she's the most interesting.
Oh, of course you do.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
She's second.
That's fine.
Second.
That's fine. I can accept that. I'm not.
Now, when
I'm
we
not
say
like a lot of
best
people
girl
online who defends best girl. Like, I don't. Like, I look at it from an interest standpoint of like, hey, are they a good character?
Yeah,
not like,
sure.
I mean, these are high school students.
Talking.
I think a lot of people need to recognize that. So it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, let's talk about the nature of their character and their arc, which I think Makoto has probably the best one next to Kasumi.
Keep defending yourself.
Oh, dude, get the fuck out of here. I'm not defending anything. I'm just saying in general that this is something that a hole that many people have dug themselves into. All right? And I refuse to put myself in that hole.
As you go to sleep with your fucking pillows from the chicks, your 6-foot-long pillow, Persona pillow.
It might be a sign because
body pillow.
My Persona 5 display that I had hung up, I came into my studio today and it was like on the floor bent because it fell off the wall. So
yeah, it was bent because it fell off the wall.
Okay,
it was bent.
Dustin, please take up some of the airspace.
We know he fucked it.
No, stop.
Exactly.
That's what I was thinking. What is it?
There's a hole in the plate.
Okay.
Right? The display? Yeah, you fucked
the metal display. Yeah. All right.
Why did it bend?
Well, it just
because
it
fell.
very
intense fucking.
Fall on the.
Because it crashed to the floor.
That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. Glory hole.
Because it crashed to the floor.
Oh, it fell to the floor on its edge. That sucks.
Yeah.
How do you? Can you bend it back?
Yeah, I tried to.
Or does
it is, but now
that's sort of a shitter.
I'm gonna order some replacement magnets to hang it back up, and then Makoto will be back on my wall.
It's funny we mentioned this because he didn't ask me.
Gentlemen.
He didn't ask me, so fuck him and his question. But let me tell you something that I was excited for. I posted yesterday, and I got a bunch of shit. I don't get attracted towards girls in games. I think they're games. It doesn't work for me. But Faith in Fallout 5 is a broken freak, and I guess that's my type. Like, that just happens to be my type. I like Faith. Faith in Fallout or Far Cry 5. Codeine. She had the tattoo. She was transforming into characters. She just summer dress. She rocks my world. Dude, do you know how many DMs I got? Over 100 of people telling me they were unfollowing me because I was championing drug use. Because I tweeted this. I said, I don't know what it is. I really am attracted to her. Like, it's one of the few, and people were livid about it. Livid. My DMs were just filled, and I was like, that's where we are in humanity.
One attractive game character for me is Bastila, for sure. Bastila is just...
Somebody posted. Yeah. Somebody, I don't know if you saw it, but somebody actually stated, oh, here comes Matty with his Bastila Shen comment.
Wait, what?
Because they just knew.
Where?
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah, go look at my Twitter. It's like the third response. I tweeted this yesterday. I said, you literally are called out in it.
No
like right away.
Fucking way. Hold on.
Yeah, I stated, it's a long one. I stated, I'm rarely ever attracted to game characters, just not into them. However, Faith from Far Cry 5, she would probably knife me in my sleep, but crazy summer dress dancing is my weirdness, apparently. That was my post. And somebody literally pops in and states, Matty, 2 words with which Matty will concur. Bastila Shin. And then he didn't he says, not that you asked hashtag, but he did, I guess he didn't egg you, but it's Sean, by the way, from your Discord.
Oh, let's go.
So Sean knew right away, man.
2 words with which Matty may well concur. Bastila Sean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sean. Yeah, Sean.
I think it's a different Sean.
I think characters in games are hard. I know Longest Journey, Chloe in Longest Journey also I was very attracted to, and I found out later that it was because it was one of the first games they modeled feminine walk. Most games didn't have the modeling, so the characters would all walk somewhat the same. And Chloe had hips. She swayed because a woman's hips are connected in a different way than a guy's are. And she walked in a feminine way. And I remember the first time seeing that and being like, damn. I didn't know what it was at the time. Like I wouldn't have been able to tell you what it was that attracted me.
I know Dustin thinks a lot of video game characters are attractive.
I was actually trying to think of, Miranda, Mass Effect 2, of course.
Of course.
Very attractive.
Dude, yeah, that's ridiculous.
She was genetically formed to be attractive.
Except for her forearm lips, where they fucked up her face model with the 2 giant puffy forearms. She is really attractive, man. I liked Ashley, to be honest, in Mass Effect. I actually always liked her voice, too. Her voice actress was good.
Oh, I'll toss out there while we're on Bioware, Liliana. Oof.
Liliana.
Round of applause for her. Yeah, Liliana from Dragon Age Origins and Inquisition.
What she remind me of what she looks
hair.
like? What is she?
She's
redhead, right? Does she run the assassin or the info guild?
Yeah.
She was really. I'm Pavardi. I'm a big brunette fan. Like Pavardi and like the hair in fucking Outer Worlds she was my jam.
Well, I like this new Cortana. She's kind of cute and ditzy.
Oh, do you?
You know? Yeah, I thought she was cool.
I remember a lot of people really liked Cortana in Halo 4 because she had like nothing on.
Oh yeah,
dude. And she suddenly got stacked as fuck. Like, dude, come on.
Yeah,
that
was weird.
There was extra polygons that were applied.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah, and a lot of people
saying that
got attached, we'll just say, because the second the new AI appeared, they're like, AI with clothes. I'm like, who fucking cares,
Right.
man?
Wow.
Who fucking cares?
Yeah. What were you going to say, Dustin?
I was just going to say, I thought that I liked her in that trailer, whatever, this new Cortana. She just seemed very cute. I don't know. She was like kind of like confused looking around. I don't know. Something about her. I'm into her.
Be careful.
Or maybe she's into Chief.
It's possible.
She gets inserted into Chief.
That would make sense. I don't even
fucking depressing game. I do a little bit though. I mean, we don't think like she's not she's not like Cortana. I mean, I don't know.
I had a couple of theories about her. Like I think one valid theory is it's Cortana just pretending nothing happened.
Oh,
yeah.
You mean like it's fucking faux Cortana in some way? Like she sharded herself?
Yeah.
And
it's
copied. Oh, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, like it's Cortana reformed essentially, but it's still her. And she knows, but she's not going to tell Chief and like just send him on a wild goose chase over nothing. Like I feel pretty confident about that one. But
interesting. Okay,
we'll see.
Think on it.
What was our other? Oh, have we ever had a similar experience of unknowingly missing out on content in a game? And if so, how did you find out?
Surge 2.
What did you miss in Surge 2?
Surge 2 had DLC in the middle, and it didn't tell you. Like Horizon Zero Dawn had Frozen Wilds, and if you didn't talk to the dude, you could play it without really even knowing Frozen Wilds was a thing. I'm Surge 2 I had to go and search for when I went back and played it. Otherwise, I probably would have missed it.
Mine was Persona 4 Golden. I remember beating it, and I got the I accused the wrong person, we'll just say, and the credits roll. And I remember like telling my friends like, this game's incredible. I loved it. Like I'm singing the praises of it. It was 50 hours long. I'm like, it's not too long. You should try it. And then I go back again, and I see online they're like the golden ending. I go, what is this? And I look and I go,
gotcha.
I have not seen. I like saw 5 seconds. I went, nope, did not see any of it. So I look, and you bet your butt there was like 30 more hours of content I had never seen. And so I went back and played it. I was like, this is already one of my favorite games. Now it's up there in the top 5. So it was actually a pretty incredible experience for me.
Probably not a loss for you, right?
No, it was actually a gain, right? You go back and you just know there's so much more. I knew there was more waiting. I didn't know it would be that much. It was kind of crazy.
This is really dumb, but for me, I remember as a kid playing, guys, I'm not saying it for the meme, but I remember playing Tomba 2.
I knew it. Oh.
And when we got the strategy guide, we realized that there was an ability that if you had a Tomba 1 save on your memory card, you could unlock this new content or like this new quest line. And we were so intrigued that we went and rented Tomba 1 in order to do it. And it was like a revelation. So it was very cool at the
Do
time.
you own a copy of Tomba? Do you like own a physical copy of this game?
No, it's too fucking expensive. Tomba 2. The copy I played, my uncle that's 4 years older than me that I like grew up with, he still has it. But I don't have a copy of my own because it's well over $100 for.
Is Tomba a 3D like third-person fighting game of some kind?
No.
Tomba
Tomba is like
something else I'm thinking of then.
It's 2D. It's like 2.5. The second one is, well, both of them actually are like 2.5D, and they are like adventure, kind of Metroidvania, kind of. I don't know. They're very.
Is there
unique.
a popular PlayStation game that starts with a T where it's like third person, almost like Power Stone, or like and it was fighting?
I don't
like
know.
Toby, Tobii. That's eye tracking. Okay. Obviously, it's not the same thing. I can look it up, but I think one of the main characters was like a bear or something, like a stuffed bear. It was super popular at the time.
Stuffed bear.
This is called Tomba. Yeah, so it's not that. Okay. This entire time you've been talking about, that's the game I thought you were talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm thinking of like Tekken because Tekken had the fighting panda bear.
That's exactly what I'm thinking about as well. And it was so popular. It was like I remember. Yeah, man. It feels like almost a third person brawler or something.
This game looks stupid.
Fuck you, Maddie.
This game looks stupid.
Go fuck yourself.
What are these pink fucking pigs on the box art?
I quit. I'm done. Goodbye.
Before you quit, we have 2 more questions.
I'll finish the questions, then I'll quit.
Yeah, you'll finish for the audience, and then this is it. This is your last show. Natural Calamity is our final writing. Good morning, gents. I hope you had a decent E3 filled with exciting news and bombastic trailers. Now, for my questions that you definitely don't want to read, but are obligated to feed my addiction. Number 1, do you think the competitors look at each other like we think they do? Does Battlefield look at Call of Duty? Does Xbox look at PlayStation? Do you think they are always trying to one-up each other, or is it just an illusion that the fans have put up? And do they make decisions more like a swimmer trying to one-up themselves? I imagine they have to look at each other to some extent. I don't think it's as extreme as fans make it out to be, though.
No, it definitely is. Like, there was that leaked thing where Microsoft had internal reviews of The Last of Us Part 2. Like, they're definitely very closely watching each other. Wait, do we think competitors look at each other like they think they do? Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. If you're fucking up, if you're not, in my opinion. I mean, I'm always checking out what other gaming content creators are doing. Not that I want to copy them, but that's like a way to let other people test out stuff. Like, you're like, oh, this person tried this and it didn't work out, right?
Yeah.
So then you can use that to influence the things that you want to test out. And so that's the same thing with, like, Battlefield 5 or whatever would have never made a Battle Royale game if other companies hadn't done it and been successful at it. So yeah, they're always watching each other. Always.
Good point. Second question. We keep hearing Maddie say he wants Xbox to hit Sony with a Falcon punch. And I definitely didn't say. And wipe the stage with Sony fanboys. And my question is, what would that be? Starfield gameplay, Wolfenstein, Doom internal sequel,
or Doom Internal sequel to Eternal, maybe Elder Scrolls 6. Do you think they have even this? Do you think they even have this announcement and are just waiting for the opportune time to strike Sony? I should just clarify real quick that when I say I want Xbox to hit Sony, it's not because of like a fanboy thing. It's because I know Sony will hit back, but also because Xbox had momentum, I anticipated a big swing, which I don't think they really took this E3. I don't think they did. I think they did a good job. But if anything, what do you guys think that big swing would be? To me, it was getting an old IP and making it Xbox exclusive, right? Like we speculated a little bit on defining Duke of what if, because of the Kojima to Xbox rumors, what if we took Kojima, Metal Gear, and made an Xbox exclusive? That would be ridiculous. I anticipated something like that as being the big swing, but maybe something like Elder Scrolls 6 exclusivity is that big swing. It's just something we already know about. So to wrap things up, and really we could go the opposite way. What does a Sony swing at Xbox look like? What do you both think of that? And I know, Karak, we've talked about it to the point of redundancy, so if you feel like sitting out on this question, I understand.
I'm still looking for this game. No, I'll just say I think their big swing was Bethesda and exclusives. And the big swing can't be for everybody because no game is liked by everybody. Just look at Death Stranding. I don't like it. Most people do, right? So a big swing will never work. It'll never be as big as you think it'll be. It just won't.
That's a good point.
KOTOR would be huge, but it would only be huge to the people who played fucking KOTOR. And it's years old. So there's no real way to do a killer. I mean, Bethesda's big. Bethesda's probably the biggest you're going to see just money-wise. It's sort of ridiculous. Like when now that they have stated the exclusivity, I would say that was their, and you can't knock out Sony because Sony doesn't get rated the same way as Microsoft does, and Microsoft doesn't get rated the same way Sony does because their fans are slightly different. It'll just never be it'll never be par. Nintendo, same way. Nintendo doesn't know how to do online at all. And people are like, that's okay. So like, how do you hit back? How do you do? There is no foul. I don't think anybody's ever explained to me a one-hit punch that would work. It just doesn't. Too many fans liking too many things, which in a weird way is awesome. Because then it also doesn't hinge on that Falcon Punch being hit. It hinges on just a ton of games, which is what we're getting from everybody.
Well said, Karak. Dustin, do you have anything to add to that?
I think that, something that would be a Falcon Punch. I think, Matty, what you said, like something like Metal Gear or just getting Kojima, I think would be painful for the Sony fans, because he has such a precedent. So that would be painful for them. I mean, again, I'm in the same boat as you, Manny, that, sure, I have my preference. When it comes to the two consoles, I prefer PlayStation, but I have a Series X that I play, especially now more than ever. I've been playing Series X all the time. And then I play a lot of stuff on PC too. But so it really doesn't matter to me because I can just play it anywhere. But I can understand if you're a Sony fan and that's what you can afford and you like those games, so you go with that platform, and then you find out you can't have something anymore. And that's how you chose to invest initially. That's understandably disappointing, but
right.
So something like that.
Right on. And that'll do it for this episode. Thank you for all the write-ins that we got. We appreciate you. We hope you enjoyed this episode, this E3 recap of the best and the worst the events had to offer. And we're looking forward to seeing what you write in the comments, maybe what you thought about the show and what you liked and disliked. So go ahead, fire away, and be sure to add the hashtag Karak Stretching.
Sorry, no, what game are you talking about, Dustin? What's the T game? The 2D?
Tomba.
What's it called?
Tomba.
So I'm talking about Tobal #1. Tobal #1. TOBAL #1 by Dream Factory and Squaresoft. So this was an old PlayStation 1 game, and it was like considered it was like one of those really odd almost like a Streets of Rage style games. That's what I thought you've been talking about this entire fucking time.
Dude.
So I've been so confused.
It's so
This
close
game
in
has
there.
Akira Toriyama art.
Really?
It's like Dragon
Dude,
Ball.
yeah,
Yes.
Dragon Ball. It's like it was a huge deal for the longest period of time, and that's so. Sometimes my confusion about when specifically this game that comes up, I could never figure out why Matty would tease it. It's like, what the fuck, man? I thought this game was like super popular. I don't know if he was teasing it on purpose or he was just throwing shit, but this game was like a big deal for a while. I don't know. Do you not like this Tobal game or Toba,
I don't know anything about it.
Matty?
Matty.
Matty.
I just always hear Dustin bring it up, and it's just like now I'm obliged to dislike it.
Now you're obliged to dislike it. I got you.
Contractually
Matty,
obligated
I
to
hope
smear this
KOTOR
game.
never comes back.
It will.
Ever.
Wow.
It will.
I hope it never. No, I hope it comes back and then you're not able to play it. Your hands
I'm
get
dead. Like
chopped off.
just-
I don't want you to
Just
be dead.
Just all up to dead, not dead, but up to that. So he's okay if you're just an invalid. Doesn't
Like,
want you dead.
yeah, I'm just in a permanent sleep. Until
Well,
Wait,
either
yeah.
that- what if Matty
Oma.
cares so much about KOTOR, and then when it comes back, his passion for games disappears. It's like it's what I've always
Oh,
wanted,
wow.
and now I don't even care.
Yeah. Don't
That's
meet
what
your
you deserve,
heroes,
Matty.
baby.
just
Don't
a
meet
real
your
grim,
heroes.
dark realization. I got what I wanted, and it wasn't enough.
Yeah, you're just like there's nothing to talk about ever again. What so we're trying to figure out what are you calling it? We're trying to figure out
Hashtag,
hashtag. Hashtag.
Hashtag. Well, okay, we talked about E3, and we talked good stuff and stinkers, and we talked about chaos, Final Fantasy Chaos. I don't know. What was the standout moment of the show?
I feel like we had a pretty good flow the whole time where it's hard to pick a standout moment. Usually you have like those ups and not ups and downs, like there's bad parts, but you can feel the peaks more. I don't know if we,
Right.
I feel like we were consistently up, so I don't know if we had to necessarily a peak.
Consistently up.
There we go.
Hashtag
Consistently up or
consistently up.
peak.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That definitely
hashtag
is
consistently
a
up.
fucking
works
boner
for me.
joke, but we'll,
I know, dude.
It's just like
Who
make a
cares?
Let
hashtag
him-
pitch
let
and
him
a
do it.
tent
Everyone
at
loves
this
it.
point. Like it's just consistently. Is that what consistently up?
Consistently up. Yeah, consistently up
Consistently up.
sounds awesome.
Bro,
Because here's the
let's
thing,
go.
it's a test. It's a test. If you're not going to spell it right or do it right or post it in your tweet, we won't respond to you.
Mhm.
When they take the time to say like hashtag consistently up, I know that at the minimum, they took the time to at least type that out, which is pretty rare for most fans. Most fans won't even do that. So yeah, consistently up. I like it.
All right, perfect. Let us know if you got this deep. We look forward to hearing from all of you. And until then, we'll see you next time with episode 307. All right, peace out.